Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next few hours, along with Mike.
Good morning.
And Spence is here.
Hello.
And Bruce is here.
Oh, I'm hanging up.
No, that's an inside joke.
I hope so.
One of these days.
As long as he's not kissing us goodbye. He's kissing us
No, he's not. He's not. He definitely is not.
No.
Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by that VidBlaster guy, Tom Sinclair.
Mwah.
And made possible by Bamboozer at bamboozer.com. Boy, for a second there, I thought we were not getting out. It's kind of, no, it's my feed over here. So what's going on, guys? Spence, you have a note?
What?
Oh, you haven't been here in a long time? You have a note?
I have a note, and I have a...
I'm not talking about a notebook or
no,
Chrome.
I know.
What is that,
A note
Chrome?
from my... Well,
Teacher.
I have a note. I have a note explaining my absence, and you have to pay me, even though I was gone.
Oh,
New
okay.
rules.
All right.
Can we just buy you health insurance instead?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can I just send you the link and you get it yourself?
Healthcare.gov. Check back with us when you get it.
Yeah. Speaking of new rules, Virginia Democrat is proposing a rule forcing all doctors to take Medicare and Medicaid patients by
It's
law.
going to happen.
Too.
We're
it's
headed
going-
toward a single-payer system. No
It's
question
going
about
to
it.
happen.
Unless the people rise up and change this mess.
They won't.
Yeah. Wow,
Can
you hear
they-
about all the security issues on this site now? All the news this week on, even John McAfee came out and talked about the security problems on the technology side of this site.
Oh, you mean the part where you try to log in and you get everybody's personal information?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Nah, don't worry about
I
it.
really believe that they just don't care, because their ultimate goal, like you said, is to get the single payer. So the faster this thing crashes and burns, the better for them. Oh, well, what we really need is this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that I don't think they anticipated the reaction people would have with them getting there so quickly.
Well, how excited are you about the government inviting Google and Oracle engineers in to fix this thing?
Well, that's been over a week now, and as I recall, it's not repaired yet. So whenever they come out with their propaganda that, oh, this was a well-designed site, money well spent, anyone would have had this problem based on this, the number of people trying to use the site.
No,
Yeah.
you have to allow time for bureaucracy now. It's not going to be as simple.
But at a technical level,
All right, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
it's a disaster.
Hey, Steve.
I saw this picture on Facebook this morning that someone handed Kathleen Death Panel Sebelius the book Websites for Dummies, and then took a picture of her holding it. It could be photoshopped. I don't know, but it looked real to me.
You know, it may sound like I'm joking, but I'm not. Ron, my main system administrator, we built sites for about 10 years for some of the bigger companies. The biggest one that we did was NEBS, and a lot of people in business know NEBS. That's New England Business.
For real?
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that.
And the details that had to be worked out is when you order this thing, it has these options in it, and if you pick up this option, you're going to have to go to these options, and from that option, These were things that would take like almost all year to build and be ready for use. And they had those sites that had Christmas cards, and we do them every year. And it was just amazing how that was the one person, in most cases, it was just Ron doing this. When the site was ready, it was less than $20,000.
So why didn't they hire Ron?
I know.
And we were talking about it, and Ron said, Amnon, don't you think I could have done it? I said, I know you could have done it.
In 3.5 years for $634 million?
I know. You see, he said, I would take half of that. I mean, it is
By
just,
the way,
it's amazing.
$634 million is before they brought in the people who supposedly know what they're doing.
Right.
Yes.
And I loved when, what they say, I mean, what's his name? Jay Leno was saying that the president say, okay, now we're going to bring the best and the brightest. And he says, why didn't they bring him to begin with?
Well, you can't buy those for $634 million.
Well, anyway.
Well, they're not running for re-election anymore, so now we're seeing all the stuff they wanted to hide from us come out.
It's amazing to see how many politicians who voted for this crap and put it in place are having an amazing change of heart as it gets closer to the election. And it's even amazing how they're interested in postponing the penalties and the mandates until way past the 2016 election.
It's interesting. Bamboozer is intermittent again this morning.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
well, I forgot to announce this. If you look under the video,
I love it. I like it. Yeah.
you see the different. Justin does not work right now, but I didn't see any reason to eat more bandwidth when we have two good ones with Daily Motion and Vaughn on top of Bamboozer, so that should be enough. But yeah, you can switch between. So I'm glad that I'm glad, like Merle said, that Bamboozer was, so he switched to Daily Motion, and it works for him. Good.
Well, that makes me wonder now, because Bamboozer obviously got rid of a bunch of people who were abusing the system, so why isn't their service stellar now?
I don't know that it's. I mean, it's.
Well, I used it last night for my normal Saturday night hour-long stream, and it was rock solid. Didn't drop one single frame, but maybe this morning it's acting up.
Maybe it's a busy time of the week. Maybe Steve knows the busy times of the week for internet
Good morning,
broadcasters.
Steve.
Good morning, everybody. Did you enjoy your extra hour in bed?
Woke up at the same time, but what the heck?
What microphone are you using?
Should be using the...
I'm surprised that Mike didn't say anything.
Just a moment.
Audio's
Should be on
not
the-
important.
I should be on the Audio Technica. Just a minute. Make sure
I don't
it's...
think you are.
no, I'm not. That's why then.
Tap on it.
Can't believe Amnon heard that. Wow, we're making progress here.
Steady. Okay. Give that a second or two, and it should switch over to the other one.
Oh, you're nice now.
Well,
Well, I'm
Warm.
always nice normally, but I'm nicer now. What you meant to say. I think.
Dulcet.
ooh, there's that sound.
Boom.
I do apologise. I did check, actually, and I could have sworn it said the ATR 2100, but
That's all
obviously
right. No,
it
no
didn't.
big.
Wait. We don't allow swearing on this show.
Yeah, family friendly. But the reality is, speaking of which, Steve, if you go into Skype, what I learned the hard way, making a fool out of myself, is that if you go to Tools, Options, Audio Settings, and click on the Advanced Options button, you will see all of the drivers installed that Skype recognizes.
Yeah.
If
and
you
can
then
up
move
and down.
them up or move them down, it will allow you to pick which one opens when you start Skype, so that it will default to it.
Yes.
Wow,
Unfortunately,
that is
I was starting
great.
Skype as I plugged the microphone in.
And what were you saying, Bruce?
I was not aware of that.
Me
tip.
neither.
I wasn't either until
So-
about.
So
You
what?
remember how I kept starting on my webcam, Mike?
So what you're
That's what-
saying is, if the setting get clobbered somehow, I mean, normally when you start it, it starts the way you want it to start. But if
Correct.
the settings get all screwed up and it starts and it says, "Oh, I don't know what to find, so I'm going to just start this
Right.
way." Oh,
That's what I
It's
thought.
the random value generator.
Yeah, so that's what I thought was happening. And then when I did this investigation and found this, which I believe they snuck it in on a revision, I don't recall seeing it before. But then I went in because you recall that for each of like 4 weeks,
Yeah.
every time I started, I was on the webcam mic.
yeah, yep.
And then I started investigating about 2 weeks ago and found this. Then I moved the appropriate one for this microphone up to the first position. And as far as I know, it has opened correctly each time since then.
Now, can't you remove all the other ones?
You can, but why should you?
Okay, I'm just wondering if you always use one, if you can remove the other ones so it never. I mean, it only has
It
one.
says remove. It do, I'm don't know this, but I'm pretty convinced that it does not remove the driver. It just removes the link. I mean, the Skype
The
hook
s-
into the
right.
driver.
I would hope so. Yeah.
So I don't think that provides any benefit. Like, for example, the bottom one I have listed on mine is the ATR 2100 because that's probably the last thing that I plugged in. That means the driver is already installed and recognized, and once I plug it in, it will instantly recognize it because it's already been connected. But it also recognizes every other driver I already have installed on the... In fact, I'm looking here now, for example, under speakers. The third one down is the Rode Podcaster.
Are these all drivers that are active? I mean, obviously you don't have all these
No.
microphones connected, so it's anything that you ever plugged in and installed is in that list.
I think that's correct, but I think the way I would say it is that if there is a driver that Skype will use that has been installed, which happens when you install a different device, I think it continues to remember it. But in my instance, for example, the AT2020 and the Rode Podcaster are here, but they're grayed out.
They're grayed out when they're plugged in, I think.
Correct. And
With
Skype
mine,
recognizes.
I don't always keep this microphone plugged into this machine. So as I was starting Skype, I plugged it in. So obviously didn't plug it in quite quick enough.
Well, would you do that quicker in the future, please?
I do apologise, and I'll make sure I attempt to do that
Well, thank
pronto
you very
next time.
much.
Infraction.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking a little bit far. I mean, I was going to say, then you can probably remove all the webcam microphones because you'll never use them. But
Well, that's
what,
not true.
I know. What if you wanted to use one of them at that
That is
point?
correct.
Yeah.
Because when I go into the Hangouts, whenever some of these guys in there, they all decide they're going to use theirs, I'm going to use mine.
Yeah. No. My
That's an inside joke.
my question to myself was, how would I bring it back? I don't think there is nothing in.
You just plug it
Don't
in
know.
again.
Probably.
It's if you disable or just delete one of the things that's in there, you just plug the thing back in again, and it comes back up.
Okay. Interesting. Very good. That's good to know. But the list order, if you save it, stays like that, and anything new gets added at the bottom. Correct?
Don't know.
You
I
got
believe
to
it does.
Whenever you plug in a device, Skype says, do you want me to use this new device I just found?
Yeah.
It may move it to the top.
Okay.
But now that you have control over it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I thought everybody knew about this. I found out myself because I keep plugging different microphones and things in, as you all know. And I found out about a month or two ago, as it was about 6 weeks ago. But you just assume that everybody else knows. So here's a prime example of saying if you do find something, drop in and let us all know, because we may not know either.
Yep. Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Is this thing on?
Testing. 1, 2. Testing, testing.
What happened to
Affirmative.
Spence? Why can't we hear Spence?
Can you hear me?
I did some testing yesterday,
It's
and
okay, Spence.
quite by chance found out that I had an issue with one of my channels, one of my hookups to one of my computers, because I noticed that the sound wasn't quite right on an audio input. I created a disk to do some frequency response testing, and I got to tell you, it's amazing how many things can get out of whack that you don't realize and you can't see and you can't hear very well. And when you correct them, the sound is really optimum. What I did was I went into Adobe Audition. I used their tone generator. You have a function, and Audacity does the same thing, generate a tone. I generated a 5-second tone at 1,000 hertz, a 5-second tone at 100 hertz, 5 seconds at 50, 40, 30 to kind of test the low-end frequency response of a system. When I did that, I found out that the bass was being rolled off tremendously off of one of my channels. And then once I finally, and strangely enough, thankfully, there was nothing wrong. It was actually a setting on this PreSonus mixer that I have that I was not even familiar with. I knew about the setting, but I didn't realize that it was in effect, even though it was not switched in. And when I found that, then it was a very simple problem to resolve, which again goes back to people say, what mixer should I use? I'm using the PreSonus 16.4.2. I've been doing audio a long time. I am still learning things about this mixer. There is a lot to it, an awful lot to it.
And that awful lot to it is important stuff that you're learning, or just, oh, yeah, that's a nice tidbit?
Well, let me ask you this, Amnon. Let's suppose that you go buy a brand new car.
Yeah,
Would you rather it have a lot of buttons on the dash or a few buttons on the dash?
a few.
Assuming that the number of buttons related to the capabilities that the car has.
I'd prefer programmable buttons.
That's not the question.
I like my Dodge Dart that had push-button transmission.
I prefer no buttons at all.
Chrysler Imperial with the push-button transmission and the lever park brake.
Yep.
So,
But
okay, so
what I'm saying here is that the more capabilities a piece of equipment has, the more buttons it's probably going to have. Or if it has multiple use buttons or variable assignment buttons, it's probably going to be more complicated than if it had one button per function.
and then something can go haywire that is very simple to fix to somebody that knows how to combine the buttons, but somebody would be completely lost if they didn't.
Well, something can always go wrong.
You know, listen to this, everybody. The BBC reports home broadband in the U.S. costs far more than elsewhere. At high speeds, it costs nearly 3 times as much as in the UK and France, and more than 5 times as much as in South Korea. Why? Americans pay so much because they don't have a choice, says Susan Crawford, a former special assistant to the president on science.
Oh, well.
Technology and innovation policy, that was her thing.
Well, here it comes. Wait for it.
We deregulated high-speed internet access 10 years ago, and since then we've seen enormous consolidation and monopolies. So left to their own devices, companies that supply internet access will charge high prices because they face neither competition nor oversight.
You understand what oversight means?
Yeah, I understand what oversight means, and it should be left. But explain to me, where is that deregulation when Time Warner can come in and say, oh, nobody else can do it here under these circumstances?
They can't.
Well, they can.
No, they can't.
They did.
They can't.
Well, I mean, they did it with help.
You're mistaken on that one.
They did with the help of the legislator.
No.
What?
That's not true.
So explain to us.
All that legislation said was that the municipalities cannot subsidize new internet services. Anyone who wants to come in and build their own infrastructure and put fiber up, if Fios wants to come to town and to build out a system like Andrew has, all they have to do is get approval from the Carytown Council.
Right.
There is no doubt in my mind that it would be given to them instantly.
Right.
But what the trick to this little sleight of hand deal is that it is so expensive to do so, it's highly unlikely that anyone is going to come in and meet those standards.
Right.
The unfairness is that Time Warner, based on what I observed, I can't prove this, I'm not positive it's true, but I have some inside information, that back when they were getting started, they had an awful lot of consideration being extended to them with regard to right-of-way charges, with regard to accommodations made, and benefits extended to them by municipalities. And now what they've done is called slamming the barn door shut after the horse gets out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they've done, in my opinion.
Oops.
Does that mean I like it? No.
Well, this is why we don't, and we will probably not have any competition in our area until somebody will say, okay, yeah, we're going to put all the money and take a chance on this.
Well, it may happen, but I suspect what you will see is wireless before you see that happen.
Yeah. True.
My video is going to roll over for a minute.
It's
XSplit just locked up.
Well, go ahead and fix it.
I'm restarting XSplit if I can get it to go down. I thought it was I thought it was having multiple cameras that caused my issue because occasionally it would lock up. Well, that's not it. Bruce, you have any trouble with XSplit lately?
No, I have not. No, it's been fine.
I've got something wrong. I don't know what. I'm going to have to go back and look at this from a driver perspective or something because I just upgraded to the latest version of XSplit and I'm still having issues with one camera. I just tried to add a title and it locked up. If
I had a bad webcam.
Yeah, works fine for everything else.
Well, I mean, maybe incompatible. Maybe if you change the order, put this one.
I only have one cam.
Oh, no, I thought you had two of them.
No, I disconnected it. I thought that was the problem.
Okay.
So I took it out of the picture.
No pun intended.
No pun?
I meant it that way.
Just reach for the button.
That's it.
Not the button.
Are you trying to shut it down?
No, it's shut down. I'm bringing it back up again. Well, it's not. Doesn't look like it's starting properly. Let's see. Oh, here it goes. All right.
Steve, I know you've told us before, but what is your internet service and what does it cost?
I've just renegotiated because my contract was up ages ago, so I just renegotiated to try and reduce the price a bit. I think I'm paying about £32 a month, including line rental, and that's for up to 8 megabytes.
Down. What's your upload?
Uploads up to a meg, I think.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
No, it's not. There are cheaper.
And do you have different options in your area?
Yeah, there's a load of. They've deregulated it completely, so you can go. I mean, still use the same equipment and the same line and everything, but you can go with a different supplier. You sort of buy it from British Telecom anyway, because it's British Telecom's lines, and then you just get a better deal because they're all competing with each other.
So really, they all. It's just like here when Earthlink sells it, is they buy it from Time Warner and resell it for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, it's just like any other commodity now, really.
Interesting.
Hey, one thing I was thinking about, Spencer, and I've seen this posted from time to time, you may have a particular something or other in one of your scenes that has gotten corrupted, and you might have to rebuild
Well, in this particular scene, it was just this is the one I was using, and I just tried to add a title,
Right.
and it crashed.
Mm.
And when I restarted XSplit with the same scene, I couldn't change anything.
Right.
It crashed as soon as I started XSplit.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
I'm not
what,
sure. Now that I've taken it out of Skype, let me see if I can start it again. And
But that's what Bruce is saying.
do it.
You probably need to rebuild that particular scene or that.
Well, I can't. I understand, and I did go in and remove any cameras that didn't belong there, and I went through and that scene I had just. Let's see. All it was a background and a. Oh, you're saying that because I upgraded that it's causing me to have to rebuild all my scenes?
No. But this can happen whether you're on an older version or the new version. Sometimes, every once in a while, this has not happened to me, but you'll get these little warnings that come up, say that you might want to check your profile. There may be something in it that's causing a problem, and you have to rebuild that profile. I save all my profiles in a folder on my desktop, and so I can immediately go back to one that almost has everything in it, that the one that may be giving.
Oh no, I have several versions of older ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go ahead and create a new profile. I don't mind starting from scratch. It's not a big deal.
This happens in VidBlaster too, and I've heard from people.
Now I've got XSplit open, and it says camera not available because it's being used by Skype.
Right.
But I'm able to manipulate the text now with no problem.
Right.
And it didn't lock up. So I'm suspecting it's a camera issue with Logitech. Maybe.
Top of the morning to Mr. Joseph Youssef in Charlotte, North Carolina, who types in the chat flexofenadine. Allergies.
Kazoon type.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
I sounds like I've got the wrong number. I'm very sorry.
Who are you calling?
Well, maybe I don't have the wrong number. Now it sounds like the right one. I'm calling Computers 2K now.
You got the right number, but make sure that you lower your volume on the computer lower the volume of the show. Otherwise, you're going to hear it twice.
Okay, I've shut it off, actually.
No, you don't. Okay, well, perfect.
Well, for
works
me,
too.
it's better. Believe me. Am I able to talk yet, or should I wait?
You are talking.
You are on the air.
Okay, I've got a small LAN connection at home. We've got 2 PCs and 2 laptops. Now, they're not always running together. 3 of the computers I can see the other 3 from one. I can't see the one that sees 3 from any of the others. And I used to be able to. I don't know if that's clear yet.
Are they all running the same OS?
Yes, they're all Windows 7. And again, up until a couple weeks ago, I was able to transfer files back and forth between the 2 PCs. But the one PC now is the one that won't let me. It sees all the others, but none of the others see it.
And you rebooted.
I've rebooted.
Did you?
I went in and did the troubleshooting guide, and it says it can't find or fix the problem or whatever.
What you can, there can be so many.
Did you check your firewall?
No, I don't even know how to do that. I assume they're all the same.
No, they can change. When you do an update, sometimes it turns on the firewall. That's the very first thing I would check. That's not necessarily it. But since you can see the others and the others can't see it very easily could be the firewall. If you go to Control Panel, one of the options down at the bottom is, I believe, we get Windows 7 and others confused, but if I go now into the
Windows
Control
Firewall.
Panel, Windows Firewall is one of the options down there.
Right.
And this says Home or Work, Private Networks, Windows Firewall State. And let's see. Then over on the left, it says turn Windows Firewall on or off. And this can vary based on which menus you have. and it brings
Now,
up
does,
customized
Windows
settings.
Firewall stayed on. Should
Well,
I turn it off?
I turn mine off for inside sharing.
I mean, and at least in this case, you can try turn it off and see if that solves your problem.
Okay.
And then take
it might have done it automatically then, because I've never done anything like this.
Well, firewalls are good things, but whenever you're trying to do internal networking and so forth, because if you find out that it is a firewall issue and you really want the firewall on, there are ways of configuring the firewall to manage exceptions so that you can still access that computer from the other computers. But if behind the router here, I mean, between my various computers here, I leave the firewalls turned off.
Okay, that's okay if it's at home, it looks like, because it says home or work, private, turn off Windows, although it says not recommended, and then public.
Right.
I wouldn't do it there, obviously.
The other thing...
Well, you're not on a public network, so it doesn't matter. But to turn that off and then see if that helps.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, go on that computer and do away with the sharing.
Okay.
Cancel the sharing and then reestablish it.
Reestablish it. Okay.
And see if that does
just
it.
get out of the network and then reestablish that too. I double-checked all the passwords. Everything else seems fine. I'll try that,
it's not going to be a password, because if it was a password, it'll pop up a screen that would say enter your password to access this computer. But since you are not
wouldn't
even
be able to see the others, probably, I guess.
Yeah, if you can't see that one, then it's got it either a firewall or the sharing. If it's not shared, then you're not going to see anything.
Okay. Well,
if you
they
don't
are
even
shared, but I should shut them off and then reinstall the sharing.
Yeah, just go to the sharing.
You don't have to shut it off. You have to turn off sharing, not shut down.
Right. You don't need to shut down.
Right. I said it wrong, but I think I have an idea what you mean. Okay, so I go into home networking and all that stuff and just undo it and then redo it if it's not this firewall thing.
Right.
Okay, I'll give that a rip. Thanks an awful lot.
Well, let us know how it goes.
Should I do it now?
Well, I mean, if you want to, you can just, I mean, we're going to keep on going and you can do it.
You'll be on hold. Just come back in when you get done.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
From my point of view, I agree with Amnon. That's very often what happens with mine. I have to disable the sharing and then re-enable it again, and it usually kicks it back into life.
Yeah, it rewrites the stuff in the background that it allows you to share. Sometimes that stuff gets tampered with.
Yeah.
It's a computer. It doesn't always go like it's supposed to go.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. And the reason that you're having issues is because it's not a Mac.
Right. Just get a Mac.
Get a Chromebook.
How's everybody doing?
I'm all
Just
right.
fine. How are you doing? You're up early. Well, no,
It's not early.
late. That's right.
It's almost 10. It would be 10:30.
Yeah. It woody.
Well, that's a wonderful thing. Sounds like there's a lot going on today, huh?
I'm reading the chat. What is Nick is right and Bruce is right too? What is Jeff?
It doesn't matter what. It's just we're always right. That's the main
okay.
point.
That's fine. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Joe Youssef does IT tech support for Wells Fargo Bank, and he concurs with your firewall point as well. So,
You know, he made a great point here that or antivirus blocking somehow. I've never seen antivirus block the ability to see another computer, but some people go out and buy all these Norton Internet Security packages and all this garbage and throw it on there, and they can absolutely hide the computer from the network. And I didn't even think to mention that. So this stuff can really make a mess. Good morning, Steve Lee.
And Andrew is here with us too. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah.
Andrew, did you get
today.
Andrew, did you get an invite this morning
To what?
to the show?
No.
Oh, then why are you calling in?
No, I said yes. I won't be
Inside
Andrew,
job, everybody.
Andrew, you
Inside
forgot
joke,
to say
everybody.
mega dittos.
Yeah.
Morning, Andrew.
Good morning. I have a question for Nick and Bruce.
Oh boy.
I know that you guys have flashed your ROM on your phone before. I have a question. Do you know how to flash the bootloader?
Yes.
How do you do that?
It's kind of hard to explain. What kind of phone?
It's the Nexus.
The original Nexus?
Yeah, Nexus, Galaxy Nexus.
What are you trying to flash it with?
Well, I want to put KitKat on it, but I have to have the latest version of the bootloader, which is Clockwork, whatever.
Here's an article on it. I'll put it in chat. I think this.
I thought all I have to do is download it, go into recovery, and then just install it that way.
I'm trying to think. When I did it, it was a while ago. Let's see.
Yeah, I read some reports where they were, of course, one of the great things about 4.4 KitKat is that it supports lower powered phones, which of course the Galaxy Nexus would be one. But I saw where they're making it available for that phone as well.
Well, they said they're not going to, right?
The article I saw said it was. I have to go back and check my Twitter feed, but I believe it was Engadget or The Verge was reporting that.
I mean, I initially thought all you have to do is just download it and install it, but it's installing, but it's not working. If that makes any sense.
And you're doing that, why?
Because I want the latest version of Android.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the Engadget. I actually had it backwards. Samsung Galaxy Nexus won't get the update to 4.4. So, still no official word as to why this is the case, but sources close to the company have pointed the finger at a different hardware issue on the Galaxy Nexus. It's Texas Instruments built chipset.
Yeah, they're not supporting the drivers, apparently.
Right.
But a lot of these guys are cooking their own ROMs where it is supporting it.
Right.
So let's see. Crossing my fingers, this works.
So Andrew just got a new iPad.
I did. I got the iPad Air.
And?
It's great. The old iPad was good, and this is as good as the old one. It's just faster and better looking.
Yeah, the fanatics at iFixit, the ones who tear down all this new equipment, they said Apple's new iPad Air is twice as easy to repair as Microsoft's new Surface 2. So
That's interesting because Friday, or was it yesterday, Andrew made a comment and he said, "This is not made to be repaired."
I could have been reading the article wrong, like Bruce read the other one wrong.
Well, I read the I Tear It right up on Engadget, and I think it was 2 out of 10 they gave it for repairability.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
none
rubbish.
of them are meant to be repaired. I mean, they're meant to. You take it to the Apple Store, and that's why they kind of encourage you to buy from the Apple Store. You take it to the Apple Store, and you give it to them, and they give you a new one.
Oh, so this is kind of a tongue-in-cheek article because they gave the Surface 2 a low-as-you-go repairability rating of 1. So when they made the iPad Air 2, then they can say it's twice as repairable as Microsoft Surface 2. Well, hey, I was at the coffee house yesterday, and I've never seen a Surface RT in the wild. And there's a big table at the coffee house. It's kind of a community table unless you reserve it, so anybody who wants to can sit there. So there was a gal on one corner, opposite diagonal from me. She had a Lenovo. She wasn't wearing it. She had a Lenovo laptop, and the guy across from me had a MacBook Pro. And then this lady comes up. She's to the right. She says, "Anybody sitting here?" I said, "No." She gets out her Microsoft Surface RT, logs into Liberty University, starts taking an online college course, and I was able to, sit right next to her. The screen on that thing was really quite nice.
Quite nice is because it was big or because of how sharp it was?
how sharp it was, the quality. It was very nice.
Bruce, have you ever seen Apple's Retina display?
I have.
And how would you compare it with that?
I would say they were similar.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I seem to remember the show that. What's the show you're doing with Paul?
What the tech?
What the tech?
What the Tech?
Mm-hmm.
Where Paul was showing a surface,
Sure.
and he was saying that it looked bad because of how it was layered, and it doesn't look like the Apple the iPad.
I don't remember him saying that.
It seems like I remember him saying that. He said, "Do you remember how it used to look on old things where they have the glass and then they stick something?" And he said that there was like a little like milky look to it. It was not sharp. I don't remember. Maybe I just listened to a part.
Hey.
But I remember him pointing it to the camera and saying, "See, it's not as clear."
Yeah, I kind of remember that, but I don't remember what he was talking about.
So
Hey, let me ask you this, Andrew, since you know him. Paul Thurrott, and this week, 4 days ago especially, and there's been an ongoing Google Plus conversation and battle about this. He is just really trashing Chromebooks. He wrote an article early this week assessing the Chromebook threat and the byline, Chromebooks are a joke. What's his issue with the Chromebook, or is he a Microsoft fanboy and just trying to protect Microsoft from what is obviously at least somewhat and growing threat?
I know he ordered a Chromebook. I haven't read the article. I don't think he's protecting Microsoft at all. He's quite critical of them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case either.
I just don't think that he sees it as a everyday computer. It's not a viable replacement for a PC.
But he wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, that's not his purpose.
Well, he's wrong, too, because for a large group of people, it would be a viable replacement.
I mean, can you load your Office suite on it and everything? I mean, you told me yourself yesterday, Bruce, that there's no Skype for it yet.
Right.
So,
but there's Google Hangouts, and there's free phone calls using the Google Talk plugin. I mean, do you have to have Skype, or is it just an issue, well, all my friends are on Facebook or all my friends are on Skype, so I have to have that program?
The second
but
one.
if you've got all the Google apps, and if like me, you're running Linux on there, and I've got LibreOffice, which has all the functionality and more than I would ever need for an Office suite.
But let's be a little bit more subjective or objective here.
I mean, I'm reading the article, and I don't see him trashing it at all. I think he's being pretty honest.
Chromebooks are a joke is not trashing it?
I don't see that. I see assessing the Chromebook threat.
Yeah, but underneath that, Chromebooks are a joke. Is that link bait, or is that what he really believes?
Well, as a computer replacement, absolutely. I think they're totally a joke. They're a secondary computer, much like a netbook or a low-powered PC. They're not there to replace your main computer. I don't think it's possible.
Why would you go out of your way to disparage something that isn't really all there yet? Give it a chance.
Well, it's just his
opinion. The point of the article is to show
I
that
know, but still, I mean, this is what
people
they get paid to have their opinion. I know they have to be.
Yeah, but there's some shock jock part of that too.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what they have to. They're paid to be controversial.
Let me ask you, do you actually think this is a computer replacement that you could use this as your everyday computer?
For 80% of people, yes.
No, I don't. I think as soon as they try to run that exe file, they're going to encounter that problem. If there's a program that they want to run that they can't run on this Chromebook, that's when they're going to have a problem.
Google is coming every day out with new desktop apps for Chrome OS, offline apps for Chrome OS. I'm telling you,
you're used to it. I would disagree with you, Bruce, on 80%. I would think that for 20%, it could be. I cannot see.
When I said 80%, I was lowballing. What I've been heard to say in the past is 90%.
All right. I would, if I had to look at everything, I would say today, an iPad is a joke.
Sure,
I mean,
an iPad is not a computer replacement
an
at all.
iPad is for
And
what?
yet they talk about it as a computer replacement all the time.
It's
Well,
not.
That's misinformed.
Okay, no, what they say is your grandmother or your mother or your father get them an iPad because it'll do all they need to do. That's part of the 80% or the 90%
Yep.
for which an iPad Air or a Chromebook would be all they would need.
Right.
Totally agree.
That's to the people that are only on the internet and they do email and they look at pictures. And yes, absolutely. When I think about a computer, I'm thinking in an office. I'm thinking in a computer that you can do whatever you want with it. You cannot do, quote unquote, whatever you want or run, quote unquote, whatever you want on an iPad or on a Chromebook or in many cases even on a netbook that has 500 gig hard drive and it's running Windows and everything, and there are certain things that will not run on it. So I think if you are geared for business, then all these things are a joke. They're nice, but it's not. Don't call it a computer. It's a
come
tablet. It's a
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely a ridiculous statement, Amnon.
okay.
It
That's
certainly is
fine.
computer.
That's okay. I mean, that's the way I'm thinking about it. This is why I
Right,
don't
okay.
have one.
And that's where I think the disparity in the conversation is that we're tech people, we're doing a tech show, and we think about all these other things. If you're creating content, you can do screen captures and create screen presentations on a Chromebook, but if you want to do something like Camtasia or you want to run, you want to do serious photo editing, although Google keeps coming out with more and more great features for photo editing, you can do some minimal video editing, using YouTube, but you're
Right.
consigned to that. But unless you're creating content, there's not many things that you can't do on a Chromebook. And you have the keyboard as well, which is, when I go to the coffee shop, I remote into my desktop. And if there's something that I need to do, for instance, I can't run Microsoft Link on my Chromebook. So I remote into my desktop and I can see the Microsoft Link chat with my team and I can, speak to them that way. But everything else, I can do fine.
I think if we look at this from this perspective, how many devices do you have, Bruce? You have a PC, you have Android, you had an iPhone, you have all these different. It does what it needs to do for you,
Right.
right? So if it fits your needs, it's great.
Okay,
but don't call it junk because it doesn't fit your needs.
Right. And if it does what I need it to do,
Exactly.
then
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. Well,
It's
but
just
think
buy it
about
if
that
it does what it
percentage of
does.
people below me as far as tech needs and what it will do for them. So,
I just don't like people when they come out and they make these statements that are to get attention, and they might turn somebody off who could buy this thing, and it actually does what they need it to do. So just if it does what you need it to do, buy it. Use it.
Yeah. But
PC sales are down.
Yeah.
The number one selling laptop on Amazon are Chromebooks in the top 4 spots.
But Bruce,
it is a
it's
threat to
$80.
Microsoft.
That's why. I mean, they're inexpensive, and that's why people
Right.
are buying it. If you looked at the PC market when the netbook came out, it was the same exact thing where these netbooks were selling like hotcakes, but in 2 years, everybody forgot about it and put it in a corner.
Well, time will tell.
Yes, right. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
I'm looking at it more in a way. Bruce, if you do not have Wi-Fi, how much can you be productive with your Chromebook?
There are a ton of offline. You can do offline Google Spreadsheets, offline Google Docs, offline Google Drive. There's an offline program for Google Slides. There's an offline program for Kindle Reader. There's tons of offline.
Let me
programs
ask
now.
you this way: you go to Florida every now and then to the home office, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What would happen in that office if you took all the PCs out and you replaced them with Google Chrome machines, and you tell everybody in the office there, this is what you use?
But Amnon,
I'm just wondering.
But that's not,
I know,
but
but I
again,
have a
it's
question.
not at that level yet.
I would like to for you to qualify that question. You
Okay.
just asked a question that involves enterprise-based computers as opposed to consumer-based computers. Is that what you intended to ask?
Yes, you see, that's again, and you are correcting me again. And Bruce, you see where I'm coming from? I'm
No, I'm
thinking
asking-
but I will tell you this.
business.
You could you could put, we have 108. Well, we have a little over 200 employees. About 185 of them are sitting in customer service seats with headsets on. I would say that probably 60 to 70% of those could do everything that they do on a Chromebook. Now, would that be the hardware that would last for a long time? I don't know.
You don't know
yet. There's a large mega church in New Jersey. Can't remember the name of it right now, but I'll find the article. It was an interesting story because they switched all of their staff that were not creating content like video editing and audio and creating, artwork and stuff for slides and posters and banners and stuff like that. They put them all on Chromebooks, saved a ton of money, and they can do everything that they need to do on a Chromebook. It's just the people who are creating audio and video and stuff like that needed to stay on their Mac Pros.
Okay, and Mike, if you went to your office and replaced everybody with a Chromebook?
No, I don't know of a person who could survive with it because we are a totally Microsoft-based system where we're integrated with with Exchange, Outlook. All the servers are Windows servers. We are very, very heavily invested into Microsoft Office. But that's exactly why I asked you the question, Amnon, about that would not even be a fair question for Chromebook in our environment because we have needs and specialized applications.
Well, you're also talking, Mike, it comes with only a 16 gig internal storage.
Right.
So if you go offline and you don't have your data with you, you're kind of screwed in that sense.
I did have one question, Bruce. Does the Chromebook have a physical Ethernet port on it, or is it Wi-Fi only like the MacBook Air?
A number of the Chromebooks do have that. Mine does not. I have the Samsung Series 3, so I bought a USB dongle with an Ethernet 10100 connection on it. Could have bought one with a gigabit because it does have a 3.0 USB port as well as a 2.0 USB port. It also has an SD card. So, right, two USB, HDMI out. I've got an SD card slot on it, and I've got a SIM slot on it as well if I wanted to, connect to a 3G network or something else like that. But, and I bought another thing. I'm not going to go back and get it out of my bag because it's already packed to go on my trip next week. But I bought an HDMI to DVI cable. And so when I get to the home office, I'm going to test this out even more. So when I get to the home office this time, I'm not even going to get out my Dell Latitude and snap it into the docking station. Instead, I'm going to open up my Chromebook. I'm going to connect to the network through the Ethernet cable, and I'm going to HDMI out of my Chromebook into my nice big 25-inch Dell monitor there, and I'm gonna see what I can do with it.
So you really are using the Chromebook as a quote-unquote terminal at that point.
At that point, I'm connected to the network and I'm running the browser and I can open up Office documents. I can open up Office documents anyway within the Google environment without even going to the link side of my Chromebook. But yeah, I'm pushing it to the max, and that's the way I am. That's the way we all are. Every piece of gear we've all pushed and tested to the max and stretched it to see what its capabilities were, and we surprise ourselves finding new capabilities. Like I learned something new about Skype. Mike learned something new about his Personas board. That's kind of our nature. But 22% U.S. school districts using Chromebooks now. That's a Business Insider report. I'll link in the chat.
It's really interesting because I being in the telecommunication industries for many years, I've seen a lot of competing technology come out. Everybody's saying, do you remember the war over Ethernet, how in the beginning there was 100 base VG, any LAN, and all these different competing technologies to do the same thing. And everybody wanted you to buy their version. The market's going to decide. But I don't think that Google, they have designs on becoming the enterprise product. But today it's an appliance. Will it get better? Yes. What was the iPad when it first came out? It was an appliance.
I agree with you, Spencer, 100%. Currently, it's an appliance. It's not a serious competitor to Microsoft or to Apple or any of them. Right now, they're doing this as a project to see how well they could further develop a third operating system that could, take over. They're doing this pretty much for institutions. They really want the schools. And for the schools, it's inexpensive because they're paying – I'm sure they're getting a bulk rate on this, so they're paying under $300 per computer. That's pretty affordable when you talk about getting, desktops and putting them in every classroom.
Hey, there's nothing new about Microsoft being behind and playing catch-up. That's their gig, right?
Well, look at the whole idea with the Surface. The Surface RT could be argued is not really a computer.
No,
because
Surface RT is a mistake.
Because it's got limitations. So, I mean, they saw the iPad market and said, we got to get into this. So they had to adapt their product to be something else.
Well, the Surface RT has a serious identity crisis because it has a desktop that doesn't run desktop applications.
Yep.
For me, that was a big mistake that RT should just be the Metro interface. And the reason why they didn't do that is because Windows 8 at the time of the release was not complete. And still, it's not complete. There are properties in desktop that have not been moved over to Metro. So they have to have desktop there.
Yep. Now, it's interesting to see how this stuff all fleshes out. But my original point was that when you come out and say that something is, disparage a product, for whatever reason, and you don't, there usually is something behind it. There usually is an agenda to come out and you either had a bad experience or, like I'm going to talk about Best Buy later when I do the specials. I had a bad experience with Best Buy this morning trying to get to their weekly specials. Very, very difficult to get. They don't include the thing in the paper anymore. I don't know what's going on. They make it really hard for me to organize, to shop for something. So why change anything? Change is disruptive, but it also brings new technology. If somebody saying about something is junk in an interview or a show, well, it could. You need to look at how it was said, in what context. But when if it's in an article and something was edited and reread and worked before it was published, and it says junk, you have to take it as more of a, well, he really meant it. It's not that it just was a slip of the tongue or how he feels.
Yes, but Amnon, I mean, like in the case of Paul, I haven't seen the article and probably won't see it, but in the case of Paul, I mean, if you've never watched him do his show, he's that as soon as he says it's a joke or junk or whatever, I can hear him say that out loud because that's kind of his personality. And I've heard him say, and I'm sure Andrew has, he might say something, oh, well, that's a joke. Well, it's not really a joke. It just doesn't fit into what I think it ought to be doing.
Sure. And if you read the article, you understand what he means by, he didn't say it's junk. He said they're a joke. Right. And you understand what he actually means by it.
Yeah, I find it interesting. He says Chromebook Initiative is a laughable attempt to turn a web browser into an operating system that runs on mostly lackluster hardware. And then in the first sentence of the second paragraph, certainly the rise of Chromebook comes at an awkward time for Microsoft.
Well, I'm interested in that comment.
He's
what does that
stating
mean?
his honest opinion on the thing. Why does it have to be a bad thing? That's his honest opinion of it. Just like how you love the thing, he doesn't like it.
Why is it on
the
the
next
radar?
sentence says, having previously blunted the netbook threat via a classic embrace and extend strategy, the firm then immediately stumbled into its first true post-PC threat, the iPad and the myriad of Me Too Android tablets that sprung up in its wake. In a perfect world, Microsoft would muster all of its strength against this one foe, and history would repeat itself.
What's the old song? The times they are changing.
Yeah, I like Paul Thurrott. Let me say that. I mean, I enjoy listening to Windows Weekly. I enjoy hearing him on your network, and just it's just that in this. But I just disagree, and he disagrees, so we disagree.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Hey, some people disagree because it's their bread and butter.
Listen, I think Windows is a joke, and I think Windows XP is a joke also. But you don't hear me going around.
Hey.
I think every Windows. You know what I think they should do? Everybody that's running Windows XP, they should knock on the door and just take it away.
It's good that we don't all agree. Otherwise, we'd only have a selection of one item, which is probably rubbish. So it's good that we have a selection of lots of things, and we can, make our decision.
I have a really good idea. We need to let the government decide what we use. They actually know they know better. They actually have a plan
better for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
But the comment that I was going to make is that whereas I don't have a Google Chromebook, and I may buy one, it's interesting to me, I'm thrilled that they are out driving change in the market, at least in the low-cost direction. I think that's all good. It may be like, what were the netbooks that died? The whole netbook phase died because they were so underpowered they wouldn't do anything. The Atom processors.
Well, but again, why was there a netbook fad, though?
They got usurped by tablets. I mean,
why were people buying netbooks?
Laptops were getting too expensive, and they needed something as an interim mid-price thing.
Yeah, well, it was low end. People were buying it because it was $200, $150, and they used it for about a couple of weeks, and then they all sat in the corner. Nobody used them because they realized how awful they were.
I still have a netbook. I have an Acer netbook, and it went with me on vacation. I was using my wireless modem card in a bus, riding along, doing emails, sending pictures up to Facebook, and all this. I still use it. When I travel, I grab that to take with me because it's got a camera in it. Does Skype. It does everything. It's not a bad machine. Now it's XP, and I trying to figure out how to upgrade the memory in it. I bought memory for it that was supposed to work but didn't work. So I may actually try to figure out a way to run Chrome on it, Chromebook on it.
Yeah, my daughter still uses a netbook.
My youngest niece still uses a Samsung netbook. I've got mine, which I don't use very often. But if you just want to get online and quickly connect with somebody, or quickly connect on Skype, or send an email, or surf very quickly without having to lug a great big laptop that's going to run out in an hour and a half on battery, they're brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting to see when we get all these new products that come out. Some of them last a second because they're just bad ideas. There's lots of companies producing bad ideas out there that never get anywhere. But once in a while, you get somebody who comes along with a great idea, and maybe the first generation of it isn't so keen, but somebody perfects it. Somebody like Apple, they typically don't come up with the first version of something, but they perfect it and start to produce it. They take another idea and say, hey, we can make that better.
So who got their vanity URL on Google+?
Well, they sent one to me and said, this one's available if you want it. And I thought, yeah, okay, fine. But what you were saying there, Spence, the next big thing is going to be smartwatches that aren't going to do anything. Who the hell wants a smartwatch, for goodness sake? Nobody wears a watch anymore. Now, all of a sudden, everyone and their dog's bringing out a smartwatch that's going to be useless.
Well, listen to this. Almost a third of Samsung's Galaxy Gear smartwatches sold are being returned. A leaked document has revealed, which shows that over 30% are being returned after sale at Best Buy locations in the U.S. The higher than expected return rate would be due to that realization, with customers impulse buying and then realizing that the smartwatch isn't everything it cracked out to be.
I don't think that article is accurate.
Reason
I don't think it's accurate is I think a lot of people bought the smartwatch without having a phone that it would work with, and I think
I was just going to say that
people have a Samsung Galaxy S2. They buy the smartwatch and they return it because it doesn't work with their phone. This thing currently works with the Note 3 and the Galaxy Tab 10. I think that it only works with two devices. I think that's why the return rate's so high. Not because it doesn't do what it wants, just because these people don't have it. These people first don't read into what they're buying, then they buy it and it doesn't work with their device.
Okay. Well, it could be understood the same way. It was an impulse buy, and hey, I want a smartwatch. I don't care about I want a smartwatch. So you don't read into it, and then you find out that it doesn't work. Yeah, that's good point. And then now you can start arguing, would the salesperson should have told, should it have been right on the outside, this only works with such and such? And
people still would have bought it anyway. People don't look at that stuff.
There are two of them right now, aren't they? Aren't there two different smartwatches?
No, Samsung's got the one that's out now.
Sony has one.
Oh yeah, Sony's is older though.
Okay.
The Pebble Watch, Amnon.
The Pebble was one of the original, wasn't it?
What is that? What are you?
One.
This is a very smart watch.
It is?
Yes, this is a KGB officer's watch.
Yeah, but it still says 7:15.
It ran down, so you got to wind it. It's not a. It's a self-winding watch. I dug this out of the drawer the other day. I actually bought 2 of them years ago when I was in Berlin at Checkpoint Charlie. They had a little table set up. This is before it all got torn down and rebuilt, and they basically made the eastern sector look like the western sector.
Talking about watches and clocks, remember I said a few weeks ago that maybe it was on a different show that I've got all these quote-unquote clocks that sync with the atomic clock and they're supposed to adjust themselves and never worked. Never worked.
Mine works.
Mine doesn't.
I've got one in the kitchen with that weather station. I got up this morning and I'm saying, okay, yeah, I changed this, I changed it, and I looked at it and the time was right. So it finally worked one time.
Mine reset. I'm looking at the one I have in my office. It's correct time.
Yeah, amazing. Sometimes it.
Well, mine's correct now, too, but it's been wrong for 6 months.
Oh, yeah. Every so often I see mine goes back to like it resets itself or something. And the batteries were new and I had to press the button to resynchronize and then it works. Okay. But I have a weather station one too. The same thing. It runs on. It does pick up the signal from. What is it? The out in Boulder.
WWV.
National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Atomic Clock, or whatever it is.
Steve, did your clock adjust itself?
Yes, ours did it last week. It was on this show that you actually mentioned it. I said take it upstairs, and you said you haven't got an upstairs. But yeah, if you put it near a window, it usually is okay. It's on a radio signal, so if you're not in a very good reception area or you've got large, thick walls, it may not pick up the signal.
So
I've got 3. Mine did all 3.
It's the government sending us signals.
Or not, in the case of Amnon.
So really what you need to do is you need to take all these clocks that will sync themselves, that you have to take them out that night and leave them outside.
Yeah,
to
put them out
sleep
on the
outside. So they'll.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
You got to get a clock that's got an Ethernet interface on it so you can plug it in. It can get NTP.
And here's something Bruce left. That proves kind of his point about that it's a computer replacement. It says, according to recent Pew Research poll, 1/3 of Americans get their news while they like things. All in all, then it may be a very incidental nature of the site that ultimately exposes more people to news there. Indeed, the more time one spends on the site, the more likely they are to get news there. And when you go on Facebook and you like somebody, or you like this or you like that, and you start reading, that's how you get your news.
Mike, say it. Low information voter.
Yeah.
Well, it's worse than that, Andrew. The problem is you can leave your computer on CNN.com all day and you'll never get any news. All you're going to get is political commentary.
Listen, don't mess with Don Lemon, okay?
Who's Don Lemon?
Don Lemon is amazing at delivering the news.
What, does he deliver the paper in the morning?
What?
He delivers the paper to your house?
No, my boy, Chris Cuomo, he does the morning show there.
Hmm. Where? Oh, on CNN. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which you don't hate him, Mike.
I don't hate him.
You don't.
I just don't watch him.
So a little update as we're speaking. I'm still working on this computer and on the Android phone, trying to redo it. I got to update the bootloader, and I got to unlock the bootloader, and geez.
Did you guys already handle Jerry Lee Lewis's question in the chat about Square?
Nope, didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah, his question is, what's the least expensive way for me to get a Square credit card processor working? Actually, there's really no expense at all. You just Square will send you the credit card processor for free, and then you go into their site and you set it up and link it to your checking account, and you're good to go.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. Let me find it. I'll come back to it. But there was something really, really bad with Square in the last week or so.
Mm-mm.
I'll find it.
People seem to be liking
this up. Isn't it amazing how we have changed the way that we trust people and companies with our information? I mean, if you look 10 years ago, people were terrified to order stuff online on Amazon, and now we're just handing our credit card to people with cell phones and they're swiping it.
Yeah, I mean, that thing could easily be modified to keep all that credit card information without. I mean, you're just handing it to some guy with a phone. I was out to dinner with my family 2 weekends ago at a small little restaurant, and I've seen the people with the Square readers hooked up to the iPads, but this was the first time I saw the PayPal reader, which looks very similar to the Square reader, and my father actually paid with his PayPal account, which I thought was pretty cool, and that was interesting. We tried that out, and the PayPal one seemed to work really well.
Yeah, and then Square came out with a new app called Square Cash, where anybody with a debit card can send money instantly to somebody else.
Bruce, why don't you test it?
Well,
I'm open. Send me some money to see if it works.
Well, let me see.
Watch it, Bruce.
We can add zeros.
all right, let me have it for just a second here, because this actually came out on October 22nd, and everyone commenting in this thread, almost everyone, is an attorney or either works in an attorney's office. For those of you who use Square to process credit cards, be advised that Square is unilaterally suspending processing services and sending out emails demanding copious amounts of sensitive information, bank records, corporate documents, and the like. It is unilaterally terminating accounts. Square then holds your money for 90 days. It suggests that you contact the payee and ask for a second payment in alternate form, even though Square is not releasing the funds. No explanation as to why any action was taken is provided. No opportunity is afforded to ask Square questions or obtain an explanations. Then
I have a Square account, and I haven't gotten any emails notifying me about that.
Right, but I think that what he's saying is that this is for a certain number of accounts. I don't think he's suggesting that they're going out of business.
Right.
Don't know if this was related, but I recall seeing something a couple of months ago indicating that there was an opinion from some agency in Illinois that said their structure was a violation of some law or other. I know this is totally vague, but perhaps someone has more information about those opinions. I just remember when the opinions came out that attorneys in Illinois were scared. I don't use Square, so I was not paying close attention. And I don't know where this first guy wrote, but I read all through these. And let me get to the next one. Then this is an attorney in Sewanee, Georgia, who says, I'm not surprised because they held a deposit once for 90 days when it was only supposed to be 30. And they said, oops, sorry, when I pointed it out. I've not used them since, but even so, where did this warning come from? And then someone says, the only discussion I find is this topic at creditcardpaymentoptions.com under Square Review. I also see Verifone's complaint regarding design of the reader. And then someone else says, I recently switched from Square to PayPros, and the sign-up process for PayPros demanded far more information than Square ever did. I haven't gotten the email from Square. It sounds scammy or like a hacked server, but thanks for the heads up. And it finally says, here's a discussion from TechCrunch about the Illinois action with a copy of the order. It's a good reminder to be careful. So I bottom line, I don't know how serious or not serious this is. I just want you to know before you jump into it to at least read through and do some research and make sure that if there is an issue that it doesn't apply to you, or if there is an issue that you consider alternatives. The alternative that was suggested is the new PayPal. But you recall when PayPal was new, they had these sorts of stories all around all the time.
Okay, Spencer, what's your email address? What's your email address, Spencer?
Oh, let me hold on a second. Got to give you one that
Right. Or put it in the Skype chat if you want to.
No, I mean I can give you one that's a
Temporary.
All right.
anonymous address.
Okay.
I just have to look it up. I have a bunch of those.
I think the PayPal one is nice, and for at least I know for a lot of people, they're most likely already trusting PayPal with their money and stuff. So I think the PayPal one's the way to go.
The same guy who wrote that original post said, I was getting ready to sign up for a program to accept credit cards, and all of my friends were recommending Square. The best percentages that I got were from a company called Flagship Merchants. Yeah, Flagship Merchants. And it is Bank Card USA was not far from them, but Flagship Merchants had a better credit card, although not debit card percentage. Is something like 1.58%.
I believe Square is like 2.5 or 2.6 per transaction.
Some of them are 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
PayPal's expensive.
See, I kind of feel like the reason that PayPal is expensive is because they're trying to I guess you could say, force people to use a PayPal account instead of the actual card swiper.
Well, it's like anything. As long as there's an alternative, you can vote with your feet.
Yeah. I might actually sign up for this PayPal one. Yeah, PayPal's is 2.7, which is high.
The more that jump into the market, the more competitive it's going to get. But I think PayPal had it its own way for far too long, and they abused their position, I think.
Well, the real issue with credit cards is there is so much fraud in it that all these companies are really taking it into shorts. Credit card fraud is the new terrorism.
I just send my credit card information to all the Russians that do shady business on Queens Boulevard.
Yes.
Amnon knows about those guys. He told me I should do it.
Yeah, you should. Do what?
You told me
So,
to give my
I mean,
credit
is
card
something
information.
happening there, Bruce and
Well,
Spencer?
yeah, I'm sending. It's checking his email now. Okay.
You're sending me a penny.
Okay, it says enter a Visa or MasterCard debit card to send this cash to, and it's got his email address there. So I'm not gonna do this on camera because then you
No,
would,
don't
Right.
do it. Don't do it. It's all right, Bruce. $5. Wow. It's lunch. Lunch at Subway.
Drinks are on, Bruce.
Well, speaking of lunch, well, we'll come back to that later about where do you think inflation is headed and where it is now.
Do we have a computer to compute that?
Well, you know, since let's see what time 10. We're not at 11 o'clock yet, but let's talk about it. Let's see here. The government is reporting that inflation is just our imagination, that we don't have any inflation, when in fact the true inflation rate in real time is between 8 and 10%. And here's why. McDonald's has killed the dollar menu because it is impossible to make any money selling burgers for $1. Amazon.com has raised the minimum order size required for free shipping from $25 to $35. Did you guys know that?
No.
It is being projected that those who use natural gas to heat their homes will see their heating costs rise by 13% this winter. Uh-oh. The price of chocolate has gone up by 45% since 2007. It is being projected that it will now be increasing at an even faster pace. Health insurance premiums of many Americans are absolutely skyrocketing. One family in Texas just got a letter informing them that their health insurance premiums are going up by 539%.
That's just a glitch.
Yep, just a glitch. Okay.
Just shop around. That's all. Just shop around. No problem.
Colorado man was so angry at his ex-wife for divorcing him that he had the couple's life savings of $500,000 converted to gold. Then he tossed it in a dumpster so she couldn't have any of it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say he converted it to bitcoins.
Well, I bet he went and got it out of the dumpster when she wasn't looking.
Well, if she'd have gone there after it, she would have been a gold digger.
In more ways than one.
Okay, what is Bitcoin? I've heard it, and I still don't know what it is. Isn't that the stuff that Andrew uses on Chatterbait?
I don't want to talk about it.
They just arrested some guy for Bitcoin fraud or something like that, but he had over $75 million in Bitcoin.
What is it?
It's an online currency.
Yeah, it's open source, P2P money.
It's basically for want of a better term, it's like a chit that you would get.
What's your language?
But it's a credit that it applies only to people who accept Bitcoin. And you could run up on online gambling sites. You can use it for buying things online. People who accept it. You earn Bitcoins by doing certain things.
Well, at some point, there has to be a U.S. currency to Bitcoin conversion process then.
There is.
Right.
How?
They came up with it. There's a whole stock where you could trade Bitcoin. And there's a guy, I read a story, he had 23 Bitcoin dollars, and right now it's worth $800,000 U.S.
Yeah,
it's
called
in 2008.
It's called Mount Gox, mtgox.com. That's the exchange. And I believe that's
how would you go? What's the process for exchanging it for dollars?
The current price.
You can just create an account, go in and say you want to buy X number of Bitcoins, and then they look at what the exchange rate is. Like it would be if you were, say, to buy UK pound or whatever other currency. There's an exchange rate. The guy that, I think he paid $73 all those years ago for a number of Bitcoins and forgot about them. And that $73 is worth something like 88,000, I think you said, Nick?
I'm not sure what it would be now.
I thought I heard somebody saying 800,000.
That's what I
thought. And that's just for sitting on it. He forgot about it, which is quite amazing.
Looking on the Wikipedia page, it says once 20 million Bitcoins are distributed, issuance will cease. As of August 2013, approximately 11.5 million Bitcoins were in circulation.
But is it a coin or is it all on paper, all in the internet?
It's all on the internet. There's no
right.
The current price is $211
for a coin.
I believe that. I think so. Yeah.
Why would they limit the number available, and what do you do when you run out? What good is it?
Well, I assume that once they run out and they realize that people actually are going to want them, they'll probably put them back in circulation. But I think the reason for that is to push people to get them now while they can.
So what? I mean, I've read stories back and forth about the law being after them, and
for what? Yeah, what's the reason?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, no, I think the law's not after Bitcoin users. The law is after people that use a service called Silk Road, which they use it to do pretty much any illegal thing you could think of, anywhere from hire a prostitute to hire a hitman to buying, drugs. Those are the people that had their Bitcoin seized, and there was a whole FBI raid on this service.
Oh.
And it's all encrypted. It uses the Tor browser, so everything is encrypted and very difficult to get in. You have to know someone to get into it, but once you're in, you could pretty much any disgusting, awful thing you could think of exists on that service.
Where was that Bitcoin coined?
Minted, you mean?
Who started this?
Oh, it's been around for years.
Yeah,
I think its origins were actually a legitimate thing. Somebody tried to come up with a way to, in other words, kind of like using something for trade. I remember going to an event in Raleigh one time where a bunch of businessmen were trying to create a local currency for businesses to essentially barter.
Yeah, the Wikipedia article says the concept was introduced in 2008 in a paper by pseudo-anonymous developer known as Satoshi Nakamoto. That's probably not his real name.
Gesundheit.
Yes. It's, just reading another sentence says Bitcoin has been called a cryptocurrency because it is decentralized and uses cryptography to control transactions and prevent double spending, a problem for digital currencies.
Well, the government does it all the time, double spending.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
That's different.
Yeah, forget Bitcoins. Learn a trade, because I think bartering is going to be one of the main currencies of the future at some point.
Yeah, but it'll make you a felon.
What do you mean?
If the government finds out that you barter without paying taxes on it, they will charge you with a felony.
Bring it.
Well, and that's the attitude a lot of people have, I think. And when finally it gets to the point that enough people have that attitude, maybe there will be enough motivation to change some of this nonsense. But right now, they keep voting it in.
Well, the IRS investigators are going to be so busy learning a trade so they can survive, they won't have time to find out who's bartering.
They're going to be managing health care. What do you mean learning a trade?
They're going to be busy with health care. Hey, did you all hear that Dell is completed the go private transaction by Michael Dell founder? He's the chairman and CEO, and Silver Lake Partners, a leading global technology investment firm. Stockholders will receive $13.75 in cash for each share of Dell common stock they hold, plus payment of a special cash dividend of 13 cents per share to stockholders of record as of the close of business on October 28th.
So he took it completely private?
Yeah. Total consideration of $13.88 per share in cash. The total transaction is valued at approximately $24.9 billion.
What if they didn't want to sell?
A what?
What if the stockholders didn't want to sell?
Well,
they have no choice.
Yeah.
That sounds like the government.
Stock essentially went away.
Well, I mean, it says it's a go private transaction by Michael Dell and Silver Lake Partners. I don't know who Silver Lake Partners
Silver Lake
are.
Partners is a venture capital company.
Yeah, so it's not just him. It's him and them.
Yeah.
I just got to say, I like the Vaughn feed, seeing the antennas come out of the top of Mike's head.
Oh, come on. Mike is going to start walking around.
No, I'm going to try to tell my wife to go let the dog in because I'm tired of hearing the dog bark.
Who let the dog bark?
Is that your dog or the neighbor's dog
not.
you're going to let in?
It is my son's dog.
Does your dog bite?
Listen to
She
this.
might.
Talking about healthcare. Technology. Robert Cringely, what's his name?
No idea.
Writes on the idea that technological advances have changed the healthcare system, and not for the better. The idea is that companies now rate individuals instead of groups, and so move to a mode of simply avoiding policies that might lose money. Instead of the traditional way that insurance costs were spread over a group. From the article, it says that then in the 90s, something happened. The cost of computing came down to the point where it was cost-effective to calculate likely health outcomes on an individual basis. This moved the health insurance business from being based on setting rates to denying coverage. In the U.S., the health insurance business model switched from covering as many people as possible to covering as few people as possible, selling insurance only to healthy people who didn't much need the healthcare system. So computing allowed them to take and analyze each case individually and say, okay, this person we don't want, or we're going to raise it to the point where they're going to cancel. This person we don't want. So they only keep the healthy ones. You sort of like wonder why they call it insurance. They need to come with a new name for these companies.
Healthy people get sick too, Amnon.
I know.
We need to go back to the original insurance system of major medical. Everybody has a deductible policy. You put money into a healthcare savings account. You pay your first whatever your policy allows. Everybody sees what it costs. No more $10, $20, $30 copay because you have no idea what it costs. This way, costs will be exposed. Doctors will publish their prices, and there'll be competition.
Too late.
Too late. I know.
I was just reading a news story about Microsoft has renewed their fire hose agreement with Twitter, so they have access to all of the publicly tweets, information out there. And it's been a long time since I went to Bing. So I go to Bing, and I said, okay, I'm going to, because they say, Bing's got some social stuff that it'll put off on the right-hand side. So I go to Bing, and I do a vanity search, and lo and behold, I put in my name, Bruce Turner, and there's nothing about me on the first page anywhere. But if I go to Google and do a search for me, then there's look there, the second one, Google notifications, ongoing failure, please fix it. It's my post about notifications not working. And then it's got my Twitter information down here. And then it's got my LinkedIn profile. And then it's got Facebook.
You know why that works like this? Because it's geared to your location too. So you're missing all the posts or all the search results that are outside of your area. Of course, they'll be somewhere down the line, but first comes your local or whatever they consider local.
Yeah, it's interesting because this article was talking about stuff having to do with social. And when I do this search here, it just gives everything about me on the right-hand side. It says what my most recent post was. And then down the bottom, it's got about this English saxophonist. No offense, Steve. I'm sure he was a great saxophonist, or maybe he still is. Is he still alive?
Saxophonist, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that do you say it like that in America? So however you said it.
How did you say it?
Saxophonist.
Saxophonist? Is that how you mean it? Saxophonist is what we would say here.
Is that you say saxophonist, do you? Oh, we say saxophonist. Okay. It's another aluminum.
Aluminium.
Wow, I've never heard that before, but then it's not the sort of thing I hear often is people talking about musical instruments. But there, I learned something new today.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, you just said not something that you hear often. And in the United States, we don't pronounce the T in often.
Yes, I do enunciate perhaps a little bit better than
No, we
than some other
intentionally
people.
don't do it. The T is technically silent in as the preferred pronunciation. It's often.
Okay.
Just like you add, you have the two E's in the word judgment. We only have one.
Yes, we do.
That is interesting. So, I'm thinking sometimes I do pronounce the T, sometimes I don't.
Well, the English language has become so screwed up that almost anything goes anymore. But if you're an old-fashioned guy like I am, you try to go with the long-standing conventions, and the long-standing correct pronunciation of often is without the T. It's not often, it's often. But the good news is that even if you want to pronounce the T, at this point at least, nobody's going to come to your house with guns and tell you can't do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
that
maybe.
comes in next week.
I mean,
That's next week.
Look at French.
That's
Sometimes
not.
there are 3, 4, 5 letters in a row that you don't pronounce, but they're there.
The silent letters do make it really difficult, like receipt, for instance. So you don't never say the P. What the hell's there a P in it?
So, Steve, let me ask you this while we're off the subject. How do you pronounce Colonel?
Colonel. Colonel. But
In the
then,
United States,
thinking about it, it's Colonel, that would be.
it's Colonel.
Yeah, it would
Where
be
the
Colonel.
heck did that come from?
Yeah, because if you say it as it's written phonetically or whatever, it's Colonel, isn't it? But yeah, Colonel is how you'd say it.
True.
But then look at Sergeant. It should be Sergeant or Sergeant.
Well, at least all the letters are in there.
What about lieutenant?
Where is the R in Colonel?
Well, it's pronounced instead of Colonel, as in cur. It's Colonel, but the L is almost sort of silent, isn't it? It's Colonel.
That's
It's not really an R. It's not really an L.
Hey, Mike, that's a good idea.
What's a good idea? You speaking south now, Amnon?
If you start talking like you're from Pirate Land, then all the R's get pronounced R. Lots of R's.
What is it, Andrew?
Lieutenant. What about
That was
lieutenant?
funny.
What, Andrew?
I thought that he was funny.
Oh. And Amnon, it's Offen, not Ofen. Ofen is Ofen.
Hey guys, I'm gonna run.
You actually write it?
All right,
All right,
Andrew,
Andrew,
take
thank
care.
you.
Brush your hair.
I have a question for Nick. You still there, Nick?
Yeah, Andrew.
Here we go. Where in the world is Nick Craig?
He's here.
Well,
He's probably eating
Hey, Nick.
cheeseburger and french fries.
I would ask him a game tech story question. Minecraft partners with Twitch for built-in streaming. What's that all about? Stay tuned for a comment by Nick Craig when he returns from the loo.
He'll be here.
The answer to this question will be after these messages.
Here's another. I mean, I don't know where the BBC gets all this. The
BBC makes up a lot of their news.
They get it from CNN.
Oh, my God.
The BBC reports.
Well, wait. So that means that if BBC gets their news from CNN, CNN distorts it, and then BBC distorts it, that means the BBC's telling the truth.
Well,
You have to go
everybody
through
else
like
is
4 or
telling
5
everybody else's
cycles of
news, but
distortion.
the thing with journalism these days is nobody actually verifies any of it.
No kidding.
You have to go through 4 or 5 cycles of distortion before it gets back to the truth again.
Doesn't it have to be an odd number, though?
This
or
is
even,
like
no, it's-
An odd number.
okay.
This is like going on Google Translate, take a page in English, translate it to Spanish, then take that translation, translate it back to English, and translate.
Oh, that's
it back.
always fun.
Yeah,
It's-
but actually, quote unquote journalism now that's not even close, Amnon. What they do is they just make up stuff that sounds good and go with it. They don't even try to translate anything or look it up.
But listen to this: the BBC reports that police in the U.S. are now using GPS bullets, a device
Those
that
are
can
cheap.
shoot what?
I'm sure those are cheap.
The device they can shoot it at fleeing vehicles in order to track them. They are designed to make high-speed chases safer. The pursuing police car presses a button, a lid pops open, and a GPS bullet is fired, which becomes attached to the fleeing car. The car then can be tracked from a distance in real time without the need for a high-speed pursuit. What happens if they miss and they hit another car?
Well, they're going to arrest the wrong guy.
Well, that'll be a first for them, won't it?
You know, I did a search.
Steve, that's right.
I did a search
Never
on why
happens.
is Colonel pronounced Colonel.
Yeah.
And the best answer is, I have no idea. Why does tsunami have a T in the front of it, and why does possum start with an O? And then another answer I thought was interesting for you, Steve. Colonel comes from Old Italian colonnello, commander of a column of troops, which in turn derives from colonna, column. It wasn't always spelled the Italian way, though. 400 years later, English followed the Spanish practice and spelled the word coronel, C-O-R-O-N-E-L, sensibly pronounced the way it looked. Eventually, this was corrupted to colonel, K-E-R-N-E-L. Still not bad considering we're talking about the British who pronounce Featheringstone Fanshawe. I'm not sure what the...
What vegetable is in the Army? Colonel Corn.
Colonel Corn, there you go.
Hey, Nick, you here?
It is a very. I really don't envy anyone trying to learn English as a second language. It's bad for us, isn't it?
My favorite military food was SOS.
Stretch or starve.
No.
The alternate meaning of SOS?
Mine was spam.
Yeah. I would
Like
prefer-
snafu and foobar?
What is SOS? Oh, you
The
can't say
original
it?
meaning? Save our ship. The
No, they take this
alternative
chip.
meaning?
It's chip beef on toast, but it's commonly known as excrement on a shingle.
Right.
That was your favorite?
No, that was tongue in cheek.
Oh,
I think that was sarcasm.
Those of you with new cars, researchers have demonstrated how controlled area networks, it's CAN networks,
CAN
in
bus.
cars, what?
CAN bus.
Yeah, can make vehicles appear to drive slower than their actual speed, manipulate brakes, wind back odometers, and set off all kinds of alarms and lights from random fuzzing. They call it fuzzing. It's when somebody's controlling yours. The network weaknesses stem from a lack of authentication, which they say is absent to improve performance. The researchers have also built a $25 open source fuzzing tool to help others enter the field. So now $25 and you get a tool and you drive next to a new Cadillac and you can do things to it.
Why not?
The thing that they showed on a video there is, I mean, do you remember in the old days what it was like to take a car that has 300,000 miles and wind it back to 100 to sell it for more money?
Yeah, you ran the odometer backwards. You disconnected the cable.
No, but you had to take it apart and actually move it unless you wanted to sit there for a few weeks with the drill or motor running backwards, right? Here,
Is
they
that how
showed
you
it.
did it, Amnon?
Here you can do it like nothing. You connect it to the car or you control the bus and you change it back.
Must be a Microsoft operating system.
It's amazing. I remember somebody bringing a car once for me to check, and it was when I was a mechanic, and it just seemed odd that the thing only had 30-some thousand miles on it. It was an American car, and you look at the speedometer, and you know how you see the beginning or the end of the digit. That's when it was mechanical, of the digits before and after. Like you see the tail end of the 5, you see the 6, and then you begin to see the beginning of the 7.
In some cases, you see the gears.
Well, yeah, but this was some kind of a odometer that had an ink on it that when it already moved to the next one, it actually put a little mark on it. And you could see that they all had a mark on it. And you knew right there that it was rolled. But now with this, shit. You connect it and there you go. What do you want it to be? Bang. And now I knew that there's a way to do it when you connect a computer, analyzing computer. I don't know that it has, I'm sure it doesn't have a built-in thing to adjust the odometer because it's a legitimate program. But to do it remotely, that's dangerous.
By the way, if anybody listening in the Raleigh-Durham area has a fairly decent car they want to sell, I need one.
How do they get in touch with you?
Well, they could call you, or they could call me. Let's see, what number could they call? 919-234-5150. 919-234-5150.
I have a DeLorean I could sell you.
Use offer code C2K.
Yeah. No minivans, no Jeeps.
How about a VW Thing?
Oh, I'd love to buy one of those. You got one, Bruce?
No.
I saw one for sale a number of years ago. Here I drove by it, had a sign on it. I stopped and looked. Guy wanted $12,000 for it.
Yeah.
It's so rare. They only brought it to the U.S. like a year and a half. Mm-hmm. It's super dangerous. Not exactly a
what?
A Volkswagen Thing.
Oh, I had one.
Of course you did.
Back in the late 80s. It was a wreck.
Did you have a roof on it?
It was a wreck.
Did you have a cloth roof?
Yeah, it had a roof on it. I remember driving it to my brother-in-law and putting the front windshield down.
Not
I had
a good car for the winter.
Yeah. I had a Carmen Ghia that I really liked a lot in early 70s.
That was a fun car.
Yep.
Kathy had one.
So for those who think I've been sleeping, here's what I've been doing.
You've been clipping your nails, I thought.
I have been preparing these shielded cables for installation of RCA connectors.
Mm.
And what's on the other side of them? Oh.
Now, I have never done RCA connectors. Is it fairly easy to do?
Well, it depends. Hold on a second. Yes, ma'am.
Logged out, logged in, rebooted. Still stops and starts.
Okay. My wife says her computer, I have to stop and go work on her computer, stopping and starting like it was last week.
Okay.
Okay.
Supposed
you
to
mean
do that.
the program or the computer?
Yeah. Her video's, no, it's not her computer. Her video is freezing.
Yeah, go to Vaughn.
Did you tell it?
Vaughn. Where is that now? Where's the link to click on it to go to?
It's right under the video.
Look under the video for where it says Vaughn.
It says Vaughn, Daily Motion, and
go to Vaughn.
Justin doesn't work.
Now, back to the question at hand. Is it easy to do RCA connectors? It is if you have the right connector. And I will now look for the one that I use, which is the only one that I use. If I can remember the number correctly, I will show you what it is.
Is solder or mechanical?
Solder only.
Yeah. Only case I used a mechanical one was repairing a headset that I could not solder because of the thin little braided wires. Actually used a mechanical connector, and it worked great for restoring this old headset that I liked. But normally, solder's the way to go. A high-quality solder connector.
Yeah. I absolutely don't pay these prices for them. There's some ridiculous pricing here, but I'll just give you a link to the ones that I buy. and they are made by Switchcraft. The part number is 3502A. 3502A. And catalog page, data sheet. Now, this is interesting. I've never seen the data sheet on one.
But it's not gold hipped like a Radio Shack.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure Radio Shack puts real gold in all of their connectors.
Mike goes to the dumpster and gets a brick of gold, melts it, and just dips it in it.
Just dip it in there. That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do.
The picture shows it as being chrome, but it says in the description, contact plating, nickel gold.
It depends on the connector. If you look at the second link I posted, you will see one that has quote-unquote gold tips.
It's $1.91 each for a single connector at Think Allied Electronics.
Well, the problem is shipping on those guys and minimum orders and all that garbage. Sure. You look around, you find them. A lot of times, latest connectors I've bought, I've been buying from eBay. There's some guys, I don't know where they're getting them, but they're brand new. I think one set of them I bought may have been bootlegged, but they were really cheap. But these connectors, you see how long the barrel on it is.
Right.
And the reason the barrel is so long is because inside the connections are about the same size as they are on the solderable quarter-inch, a little bit shorter, quarter-inch connector, meaning that you can get the wire and cable into it, and it has a solder cup for the center pin instead of the nonsense on these cheapies. There's also a little tab that you can solder the shield wire to. And I use these, and the main thing I like about these is they really seize the connector. The jack. You plug them into the jack. It's not just push them in there and be done with it. You kind of have to coax them into. You have to coax them onto the connector. And Gary says they're not gold plated; they're gold flashed, obviously.
How much are the solid gold ones?
$1,400 each.
Oh, bargain.
So why aren't you buying ready-made cables?
Why am I not buying ready-made cables? Well, I do buy some ready-made cables, but the ones I make are better than anything you can buy, so why would I not want to do that?
I don't know.
I've got cables I made 50 years ago that are still working.
Okay.
Eric, switch over to Vaughn. Bamboozer is apparently having issues. If you look under the video, you will see an option to switch to an alternate CDN. But I made two last night to connect the... we've dealt with ground loops here. I have a computer that has a multi-channel sound card in it. It has RCA outputs on it. The mixer, the one I use, and most mixers now have balanced or unbalanced inputs. If you can go in balanced, you should, because it helps get rid of noise and ground loops. But if you have an unbalanced output on your computer sound card and a balanced input on your mixer, the balanced part of the mixer does you no good because you have to go in unbalanced. Therefore, the solution is to go through it's a transformer. They're also called ground loop isolators. Unfortunately, most ground loop isolators are wired to be unbalanced to unbalanced, so you don't get the benefit of going in balance. But if you get a decent one, or one made for the purpose, you can actually go from unbalanced sound card to the balanced input on the mixer. For example, the ART model T8 has 8 channels of ground loop isolators. I bought one about 6 months ago. I just started using it last night because of this problem I was troubleshooting. I did a frequency response test on it and a signal level test on it, and it actually works really well. Gary says Western Electric 110C. Yeah, look the price up on those, Gary. How many of those do you have? That's probably the finest 600 ohm to 600 ohm transformer that has ever been made. The phone company used to use them like popcorn, and now they are an extremely premium device. Last I've seen them, you can buy some garbage-looking ones probably for $100, but they're probably worth $150, $200 a piece if they look good and in good shape. He has 4 of them, and I used to have them as well. Unfortunately, when we sold our radio station, I think you know who Gary is. Unfortunately, when we sold the radio station, I left them mounted on a wall down there, even though they weren't being used. But you can actually get extraordinarily good quality transformers made by a company called Lundahl, Lundahl. A good 600 to 600 ohm transformer is going to cost you a good one's going to cost you $60, $70. And so you figure that you have to have 2 for each stereo channel, meaning that if you have my sound card is the, I'm drawing a blank now. Help me, Amnon. LT10 is the
Delta
1010 LT. I was getting the LT at the beginning instead of the end. It's the Delta 1010 LT. So that would be a total of 2 per channel times 4 is 8 stereo out and 8 output jacks, 8 input jacks. So that's 16. 16 times 80 is $500 worth of transformers. It would be easy to add to that card if you wanted to get premium grade. In internet broadcasting, that's totally silly.
Hey, Nick.
Yes.
Bruce
He's back.
Bruce had a question for you.
Sorry, I was on the phone.
Yeah, Nick, I was noticing this story on The Verge. Minecraft partners with Twitch for built-in streaming.
Yeah.
What do you know about that, and how significant is that?
They just announced it yesterday at Minecon, which is a conference that the developers of Minecraft hold each and every year. And there's lots of other games that offer this. So if you guys aren't familiar with Twitch TV, it's a CDN similar to Bamboozer, Justin TV, and Dailymotion, but it's just for gamers. If you're not doing gaming, then you're not allowed on Twitch TV. So games like Call of Duty and games like that are incorporating what's called one-touch streaming into their games. So previously, to live stream, you'd need the console, a capture card, some kind of software to broadcast, an external microphone, maybe even a mixer to get all the sound mixed. And what these games are incorporating is one-touch streaming, which now instead of having to have a capture card and to use some type of streaming software, it's built right into the game. So you basically click one button, put in your login credentials, and it picks up your microphone and it streams the game directly to your channel without having to use all the other equipment.
Wow.
I wasn't aware that existed.
Yeah, the game that's got it now, which was one of the first, is Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on the Xbox. You can stream directly to YouTube Live with it. Mm-hmm. The quality is obviously not the best as it would be if you were using something like XSplit or Wirecast or OBS, but if you don't have a computer powerful enough to hold the live stream, it's definitely a great solution.
Well, the content is something else, though. It would be a lot nicer if somebody who plays will look backwards every now and then to see who's coming behind them.
What?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I was watching you last night.
Look behind me. Oh, okay.
You were getting killed again and again and again.
Are you, Amnon? Amnon? You're insulting me.
I'm not insulting you.
I'm never calling into the show again. Goodbye.
I'm sitting there watching and I'm saying, "Come on, Nick, look back."
You can't look back. How can you look back and run forward?
I mean, you can. I guess I'm looking at the little bitty thing on the left there, where it shows where the enemy is.
Oh, the little screen, yeah.
And they're all around you, and you know that they're right at your butt. So I don't know. I mean, I never played it. It's easy to sit and
it's easy for you to criticize me.
Right, exactly.
No, it's yeah. I was playing more casually with my friends, just kind of hanging out.
Did you get my? I mean, why? I remember you playing, and we could hear the other side.
Yeah, it was low last night.
I couldn't hear the other side.
I don't know what the hell was going on, but for whatever reason, the volume coming out of the Xbox with the people talking was extremely low. Normally, when I play the games, I have people on Skype or TeamSpeak.
Oh, okay. So it was.
We were just talking on Xbox, and the quality is horrendous.
Okay.
And my headset actually held up. I was surprised.
Steve?
I should be back, hopefully.
What happened?
Oh, that other computer. It doesn't seem to last very long when you're watching any videos, so it's creaming the processor when the video is on, so it just eventually gets to the point where I can't cope and it just freezes.
Where did Spence go? Aren't we having specials? He didn't mention, did he?
Yeah, he said he'll talk about specials later.
All right.
He said he was having problems, didn't he, with finding them.
So,
yeah,
Bruce, you're flying this week, huh?
Well, actually, next week. I fly out next Monday, so I'm home this week and fly out next week. So
you're going to use all your devices on the plane?
Yeah, I've actually, I have sleep apnea, so I use a CPAP machine. So flying, I do all carry on, and when I get to the TSA, I've got if I'm bringing the Chromebook, I've got to pull out my Dell Latitude laptop out of its little slot in my carry-on bag, put that in a tub, take out the Chromebook out of my backpack, put that in a tub, take out the CPAP machine out of my backpack and put that in a tub, put my shoes and belt and pocket change and paraphernalia in another tub, and then I slide my backpack and then my carry-on. So it's got like this little train. I take up the whole thing. So because I've been flying so often, I have a free check bag. I'm platinum service on U.S. Air. So I ordered a new Samsonite 26-inch bag, which is not a carry-on bag. And I'm going to put everything in there and just check that bag, and then I'm just going to carry this. This is called a little bag called a Solo, and it's got my Chromebook in it. It's got a wireless USB headset in it. It's got my power brick in it. It's got a couple dongles that I use, and I'm just going to walk through the airport with this and go check bag right from now on. So.
Can you actually use the brick on the plane these days? I mean, is there a 110 connection?
No, of course, that's the beauty of the Samsung Series 3. It's got 6+ hours of battery life. So,
no, but I mean, what do people do if they need to recharge their device? Is there a way? I don't do.
Well, not on the planes I fly. There are some planes that have charging stations on them, but
Okay.
I'm flying little small regional jets from Lynchburg to Charlotte and then Charlotte to Melbourne. Nothing bigger than a CJR 200, which have very minimal overhead space and tight, cramped quarters.
So the thing that brought that up, it says, as previously expected, the FAA has announced that most portable electronic devices may be used throughout the duration of a flight. Mobile phones may still only be used in airplane mode without cellular service.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting thing that you brought that up, and I appreciate you doing that, because this is going to be rolled out by the carriers, okay? And I think that's an operative word, because that's what they call these airplane companies too. In the same way that new versions of operating systems on mobile phones are rolled out by the carrier. So I'm wondering, is U.S. Air going to allow this sooner than Delta, than United, or of course now U.S. Air and America? They're combining. I just hope that the airlines
get on the stick now that they can do this. But it's up to them how quickly they implement this.
I read yesterday that Delta and JetBlue are implementing it today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them.
That's good, isn't it? You hear that kind of thing from an English bloke.
Absolutely.
Well, those of you who buy on Amazon, the Wall Street Journal reported this morning, this is from last week, that Amazon will begin charging customers in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Wisconsin sales tax.
Big deal.
After fighting against it for years, Amazon now charges sales tax in 16 states, affecting roughly 163 million Americans. Yet, despite Amazon's continued fight against sales tax on the state level, they support a Senate bill that would allow all states to tax online retailers. It seems like a contradiction, but it's actually a calculated move to undercut rivals like eBay, who would have a far harder time dealing with sales tax law, and even an unequal playing field. Many states that tax Amazon don't tax other online retailers. We don't pay tax in North Carolina when you buy from Amazon, but
Sure we do.
No, we don't.
Sure we do.
How?
The state of North Carolina imputes $600 a year worth of online sales to you. When you pay your income tax, you pay it.
But you don't pay it there at the...
You don't pay it directly to them.
Right.
You do in New York.
And because of that...
Right. But New York is not North Carolina. He said North Carolina.
You mean in New York they collect it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll look at a product that's $25 and my final's like $27 or $28.
Yeah, well, they don't do it here, and that's why we cannot have affiliates.
So
in North Carolina, because Amazon said, no, we're not going to collect for you. I think it was too complicated.
I like having my affiliate account.
Huh? But it's. I mean, sooner or later, everybody's going to charge the tax. And you're right, Mike. I never thought about that. We do pay it in the tax return. So why aren't they allowing us to have affiliates?
Because that is a number that's imputed to everyone. It does not necessarily accurately reflect your sales price purchases.
Same thing
and by definition, someone with an affiliate account would theoretically get significantly more money. So the formula, this made-up formula, would not be accurate, would be my guess.
Why is it? My question is why is it such a big deal, though?
Government? Why is it a big deal to the government to get your money? Is that what you just asked me, Nick?
No. Why is it such a big? Why is it such a big deal when in Connecticut that it's such a big deal that Amazon's going to start collecting sales tax?
It's not a big deal. It's just
because where goeth Amazon, so goeth the world. Such that once they start charging, the not having to pay sales tax on internet purchases is out the window.
Yeah, but again, why is that a big deal?
It's a news story.
Well,
I mean, they're already...
It's a news story. There are two aspects to that story. One is that North Carolina has no jurisdiction to collect sales tax on sales in California. There is no statewide jurisdiction. The fact that they are imposing that on them is actually pushing a change in the law. And that change in the law is going to give the government a lot more power than they have now. And whereas it's just sales tax on internet sales now, who knows where it's going to end up? It's a pretty seismic shift in the law, if you want to know the truth about it.
Yeah. Hey, Spence?
Yes, sir. What was that?
Special.
Exactly.
Do you want to do specials or you want to finish eating?
Finish eating.
Yeah, finish eating. Finish eating. It's okay.
The reason I went to get something to eat is because I was so hungry. I got up early this morning.
That's all right. Go ahead. Never mind. It's
all right.
fine.
Give me 2 minutes.
Nick, they said it. They're already charging 16 sales tax in 16 other states. So it's not such a breaking new grounds here. But
I know, but it's
big. It's big states. I don't know what other states. I mean, obviously California. I mean, somebody who was saying that
California, New York. There's a bunch of Midwest states that I think have it as well.
It's complicated for a company to collect sales tax for a state, for another state, and deliver it. That's why when you go to buy online, it says, residents of the state where the retailer is, or if they have an address in that state, like a presence, then they charge those states because they have to. But if they don't, that means that now you're going to have all kind of different ways to calculate. Because remember, even in New York, for instance, Nick, you're paying a certain amount of tax. If you're paying different than if you were living in New York City, probably.
Yeah, but my whole thing is with me, when I order stuff from Amazon Prime and I get 2-day shipping, the stuff is coming from New York. That's where it comes from, a New York warehouse. So maybe that's just because it's not such a big deal for me. But for me, whenever I order anything, it's coming from New York, unless I order something that's not either not sold by Amazon or not Prime and sold from like Hong Kong or whatever. It almost always comes from a warehouse in New York. Without a doubt.
My point is that each county has different, and sometimes city has different rates. So it's not, when you say that, what is it now? It's 8. It used to be 8.5 when I lived in New York back 30 years ago. I don't know what it is now, but I remember people in business going from New York, having stuff shipped to New Jersey, and drive across and just pick it up there because they save a lot of money on tax.
Yeah.
And if you live in upstate, it's probably different than in New York City, or if you live in the eastern part of. So a company that charges in New York, like Amazon, if they charge sales tax for New York, they would have to calculate what's the county tax.
I mean, state
sales tax is made of state and locality, but in some cases it's state, county, and locality. So
what's the problem with that?
That's why they don't want to do it.
What's the problem with that?
It's a big problem.
From a government perspective, they don't care.
Wow. So you ready for these specials?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Hey, just one other comment.
Yes.
Jeff in California, where they pay taxes on Amazon purchases, says that there are services, a ton of services that a state would subscribe to handle that function for them.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that's nice. That's a very nice service. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it wasn't written by the same people who did healthcare.gov.
But a new cottage industry is born.
But the problem there is that service is not free. So when Amazon has to send $1 for each $10 that they collect, they have to send that to New York. They also have to pay that service some money for their service. And now you see that the prices start going up because of that. But it's a great, I mean, a lot of people don't have the way to do this, don't have the ability to calculate it for each state. So that service is great. I didn't know that they had them, but that's great. Yeah. Good, Jeff. That's good piece of information.
So did you hear about this? The special on a certain Dell laptop? The model 6430U is now free because it smells like cat urine.
Oh.
Is that what the U stands for?
Yes, exactly.
What was that?
They're actually replacing the glide pads. They said the glide pads were manufactured in somewhere that they are embedded with some uric acid smell that smells just remarkably like cat pee.
Yeah.
So order them now while they still smell bad. You get one for free. Not.
It comes with a can of Febreze.
That's right. It comes with a can of Febreze and a clothespins. So, before I start with Best Buy, I wanted to just do a little bit of a rant on Best Buy. Today's paper. Now, I realize that they probably think that the print media doesn't return the value on advertising like it did before, and that's probably true. And maybe just for me is why it has such an effect. There were no ads today in today's paper at all. None. Not one, except for Target, and Walmart wasn't even there. But the point is that Best Buy, when I went to their website, the other vendors, other retail vendors, Staples, Tiger Direct, they all have a online version of their print ad. Best Buy does not. Best Buy has a extremely complicated web page where you try to find, they have something called weekly deals, which you have to filter in order to get to work properly. And as you change the filtering, the screen is changing, so you lose your place. So it was not a good experience. Best Buy, pay attention because your website is not friendly at all. So, all right, starting with Best Buy, they've got a very interesting monitor. Bruce, you might be interested in this. LG 29-inch ultra-wide 21:9 ratio monitor. I saw a picture of this thing. It is super wide. It's almost as wide as my two 22-inch Acer widescreens today that I have now. What a monitor. Oh, it's only $499. Save $100. They've got PNY USB flash drives on sale, 16 gig for $999, 32 gig for $19.99, 64 gig for $39.99, 128 gig for $79.99. They have a HP LED monitor, 20-inch for $89, save $30, 21.5-inch for $129.99, save $50. They've got the Chromecast for $35. They've got an APC 600 VA battery backup unit for $59.99, save $20. They have a Brother wireless mono laser printer with duplex for $109.99, save $40. They have a Brother printer scanner copier laser with Ethernet connectivity for $129.99, save $70. That's all at Best Buy. Target has one item of note today, a Canon Pixma wireless printer scanner copier inkjet printer for $49.99. That's $30 off the regular price. A good deal for a basic inkjet printer with a scanner. At Staples, excuse me, they have an Acer 11-inch AMD A4 touchscreen laptop for $349.99, save $130. They've got an i3 touchscreen starting from $479, i5 touchscreen laptops from $579, and i7 touchscreen laptops starting at $799. They've got a Lenovo AMD A10 desktop. It comes with 8 gig of memory and 1 terabyte hard drive, $449.99, save $100. Again, that's desktop only. They also have a Lenovo i7 desktop, also with 8 gig and also with 1 terabyte for $649.99, save $100. Western Digital portable USB 3.0 USB drive, tabletop drive, 1 terabyte for $79. I'm sorry, this is the portable USB drive. 1 terabyte for $79.99, save $10. 2 terabyte for $129.99, save $20. Logitech Anywhere mouse. This is the one that will work on any surface, fabric, glass, clear glass, any color. $39.99, save $20. They have the Brother HL2280 DW laser printer scanner copier with this has got wireless and two-sided printing for $129.99, save $70. They've got Uma on sale. Uma is the internet telephony service where you buy the appliance once, and then all you pay is the regulatory fees per month, around $4 and change. $119 after rebate, save $30. They also have Uma Office, which is a larger appliance. I show the bits of it. I'm not sure what they do exactly. It's obviously got a gateway terminal adapter as well as other devices. Maybe it supports more than one line. $199, save $50 after rebate. That's all at Staples. Excuse me. Tiger Direct. They have something called Rayco brand wireless keyboard and mouse for $19.99. Not familiar with Rayco whatsoever. That's not their usual in-store brand. But hey, if you need a cheap keyboard and mouse, DDR3 notebook memory, 4 gig for $39.99, 8 gig for $64.99. DDR3 desktop memory, 2 gig for $19.99, 4 gig for $34.99. They've got monitors on sale, 20-inch LED for $89.99, 23-inch for $109.99. And they've got a 24-inch monitor on sale for $139.99 with a rebate. Wireless USB card reader. This is a new Kingston. I think it's made by Kingston. This is an interesting product. This shares up to 3 users on Wi-Fi a card reader device that will accept USB as well as SD, all the different versions of SD cards, $44.99. It will work with iPad. So if you're looking for a way to connect a storage media to an iPad as well as PCs. Kingston solid-state drive, 120 gig for $79.99, 240 gig for $164.99. And they have an Ultra 1000 VA battery backup unit for $119.99. That's after a mail-in rebate. That is all at Tiger Direct. At Office Depot, they've got a 17-inch HP i3 laptop, 6 gig of memory, 750 gig hard drive for $429. That's $220 off the regular price. 15.6-inch Toshiba E1 entry-level laptop for $269.99, save $110. They've got an Apex brand 7-inch Android 4.2 tablet, 4 gig of memory, $59.99, save $40. They have an HP wireless lasers starting at $99. They have a Logitech MK520 wireless keyboard and mouse combo for $39.99, save $20. They've got the Asus 10.1-inch convertible touch laptop with Windows 8 and Office Student and Home version. This comes with 2 gig of RAM and 32 gig solid-state drive. It's a good price, $349.99. It's got an Intel processor. I can't speak to the performance of this thing, but reasonable for a Windows 8 touchscreen. 15.6-inch HP i3 touchscreen laptop for $379.99. That's $200 off. They've got a Lenovo 13.3-inch i5 touchscreen Ultrabook that comes with a 500 gig hard drive, a 24 gig solid-state drive. This is $549.99, save $150. They've got a Seagate 4 terabyte network hard drive for $219. We've got an Acer 11.6-inch Chromebook for $199.99. That's all at Office Depot. At Office Max, they've got a 15.6-inch Dell i3 touchscreen laptop for $399. I think that's probably the cheapest one today for 15.6. Save $150. 9-inch Aspen Android tablet with dual-core Cortex processor for $99, save $50. They have a Dell 11.6-inch Intel touchscreen, $329.99, save $20. D-Link dual-band wireless router, $59.99, save $10. Amnon, here's a good deal. A D-Link 8-port gigabit switch for $39.99.
8-port?
8-port. Motorola Surfboard. They've got 2 versions on sale. They've got the 6580, which is the gateway cable modem, a combination cable modem, Wi-Fi access point, and router with 4-port switch. This is for $139.99, 10 off. They've also got the 6141 cable modem, which is supported by Time Warner, for $89.99, save $10.
Is the first one supported by Time Warner?
I believe so.
Okay, anybody who goes to buy it, check on Time Warner's website first before you go buy one.
They have all of them listed. Logitech MK320 wireless keyboard and mouse for $29.99, save $10. They have the Acer 8.1-inch Iconia Windows 8 tablet, 32 gig of memory, dual-core processor for $279. It also comes with Office Home and Student Edition. Brother Mono Laser, USB connected. This is an entry-level laser printer, although a good one. $69.99, save $50. They've got the wireless Epson printer scanner fax copier, the Workforce inkjet with duplex printing for $129.99, save $20. Western Digital 1 terabyte portable hard drive, $59.99, save $10. Western Digital 2 terabyte network drive for $119.99, save $10. They've got a 20-inch LED monitor for $99.99, save $10. 24-inch LED monitor for $159.99, save $20. And finally, a Lenovo AMD E2 desktop. This is an entry-level desktop. $259.99, save $60, and that's all at Office Max. And that be it.
Very good.
And a good sign out there is that people are buying stuff. The bad thing is they're buying it with credit.
Hey, Amnon.
Yes, Nick.
Getting something interesting on the Bamboozers stream.
Yeah.
This is about the 5th time today that the stream just stops and it's almost like you ended the live stream. It says play again. And you have to do a complete refresh of the page to get the stream started again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
see
go to your Bamboozer dashboard. You might see multiple instances of the video there if it's starting and stopping like that. I've had that happen before, so
It's showing
Dashboard.
me that so far the average drops is 92.
Percent?
Wow. No, 92 packets.
frames.
Oh.
Let me
Oh, so you're dropping
2 or 3 times for me.
let
Yeah.
me go
Okay.
on
I just
the
wanted to guarantee I wasn't the only one.
You're not the only one, Nick.
let me
I feel-
go
I
on
feel
the
special now.
dashboard.
I had to go and give my modem a kick. It seems to happen quite regularly with me. If I get a modem and it seems to last for a year, 18 months, something like that, and then it just gradually starts either dropping packets or not being good at keeping a connection. It just gradually whittles down so that everything is error loading pages and stuff like that until you switch it off and switch it on again. Is
No.
it just me, or is that a normal thing?
Bruce, it looks okay. There's only one instant.
Okay.
And it said it started 2 hours ago, so interesting. Yeah, that was a good point. I don't know. Well, just switch your feed, Nick.
Oh, no, it's fine now once I refresh, but
It does say you've been recording for 2:29, almost 2:30.
yeah, I see the same thing.
Which is good, because it means that the recording is going to be in one rather than in lots of little bits.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if it was anything of such, I would have uploaded it again. Shoot. Well, I was gonna. When was it? I think it was Monday. Spence, when did we go out to lunch? That was
Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. When I came back home, it smelled like sulfur in the office.
Oh, dear.
So
Oh,
I'm
it was
going.
close to
sort
Halloween.
of like what?
It was close to Halloween.
Yeah. So I'm going around sniffing here to see where it's at, and it's not anywhere I can find. Went in the studio, looked around. Nothing in a specific area. So, and then it slowly it dissipated, or I don't know. It may be that my nose got used to it. Then my brother Uzi came by, and he says, "Are you cooking eggs?" I said, "No." He said, "It smells like you're cooking hard-boiled eggs." I said, that smell is somewhere. And we were both going, looking, smelling here, smelling there to see where it's from. And it was weird because it was in those of you that know the studio, it was the studio and the office. If you go into the house, you couldn't smell it at all. So Uzi was saying also, he said, it could also be a battery in a UPS. So I went and smelled and couldn't get anything to come from anywhere in particular. That night, I had to call. It was Wednesday night because I had Julie's show. So I'm sitting here, and she was doing it from home. And like every 5 minutes or so, I get a whiff of that. I say, okay, it's got to be somewhere in here. So I went, smelled the UPS, and it's a big UPS, and it didn't smell any stronger there, and the fan was going. There's another small one on the rack. I'm smelling that, nothing. I came back to the big one, and I noticed that the fan was sucking air in, not blowing air out, and it was cycling pretty often. I put my hand on the side of it. It was really, really hot. When the fan stops and I smelled, oh boy, that's where the smell was. So after the show, I left it like that. After the show, I went ahead and turned everything off and disconnected it and opened it. And there are 4 12-volt batteries, 18 amp hour, that are bigger than your average 12-volt battery in a UPS. And on the side, it had not the figure 8, but the figure 8 3 or 4 times. Every cell was really swollen. I said, okay, I need new batteries. I couldn't get it out to see what it is, but from looking in there, it looked like the top of it was gone, the top of the front battery. I couldn't get the battery out. It's like two at a time, 2 and 2, and they're stuck together, and you pull it out, it was so swollen that it wouldn't move, or it felt like it was hitting a hard stop. I said, I'll work on it in the morning. There's nothing from now until Computers 2K now. I've got a few days to work on it. The next morning, I went and put it up higher and looked in there and realized that it's stopping on the swelling. So battled with it for about 2 hours, bent the frame on the UPS a little bit, and finally got it out with a big screwdriver of getting it from one side and the other side and this side and the other side and just easing it out. And those, none of the batteries actually broke. It was the cover on top of them. They have covers to isolate it from the top frame if it touches so it doesn't short. That was gone. But it was, and the other reason that the night before I figured I'll do it tomorrow morning is those batteries were hot to the touch. I couldn't put my hand on it long enough to work on it. I was jerking on the wires, and I said, well, by tomorrow morning it's going to be cool. Maybe it'll shrink a little bit so it'll come out easier. Got it out, looked around on eBay and on Amazon and whatever, and I could get 4 of them for about $160 in about 4 days. I said, no. The local Batteries Plus wanted $199. I finally went there and got 4 batteries. Came back, put it on, everything.
$199 each?
No.
For 4?
For 4, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Put them in and everything is fine. But it's it's been in there since the first time. This is the one from
Nortel?
Nortel. Before it was Nortel, it was Northern Telecom.
That was the one that weighs a ton.
It is. That's the first one, and I don't even remember when it was that I got it over there. But that's how old it was. But I've been using it here since we started the studio. I put batteries back then when I got it from Nortel and just charged it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But the batteries were old, but it was used for what, 3-4 years, which tells you that yes, batteries do need, and I'm looking at it now, and the load on it is no big deal. It's got 2 lights on the load. It's got 5 lights altogether, so it's less than 50%. The thing that reminded me of it, I saw Gary mentioning there on APC. This is an APC, and I love APC UPSs. I was afraid the UPS is gone, but putting batteries in, everything came up. It gave a few beeps. I guess those batteries were not really full when I put them in. Everything is fine. But that smell, that's what it was. It was the water, the gel boiling in there. And I'm sure it's not healthy to be close to it and smell it. They tell you not to run batteries inside, like the lead acid. So even these things can generate gas. Smelly one. Again, it wasn't that strong of a stench, but it was enough that it was noticeable. So if you do smell something like that, like sulfur or something in the house, and if you have a UPS, check it and check it close. And I did not touch it until
Did you switch to gel batteries?
They were gel.
Because gel was not supposed. That's the whole point of gel.
Well, I was asking the guy at Batteries Plus. I was saying, okay, now, do you think this is because of overcharging? He said, how old are the batteries? I said, I don't know. I bought them here probably about 5-6 years ago. I said, no, that's the batteries. When the batteries cannot hold the charge anymore and the UPS is feeding it and it can't take it, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. So it swells. And there are some vents on top. So some of that stuff, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't a strong smell, but it was enough that you knew there's something here smelling. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, that if you come across this in your house, check it, because yes, gel batteries are not supposed to do it, but obviously they did. And it's not, I counted my blessing. I said, gosh, what if I left it there? I didn't know. And I left it there, and it got hotter and hotter, Yes, it's enclosed in a metal box, and it's got a metal cage around it inside and all that.
Yeah, but theoretically it would draw enough current to blow the breaker.
It would?
Sure. Rather than that's the idea of a circuit breaker on your electrical system, is to keep things that fail from burning your house down.
Yeah, I know, but why would it draw more electricity?
Where do you think that heat comes from in those batteries?
That's just the 12 volts that it's feeding it, trying to trickle charge.
But if there is heat, there is a load, and if the batteries are the load in addition to the load on the unit, then that's going to cause the point we're getting to is that if those batteries continue to heat, they theoretically could short. If they short, they would either trash the UPS,
right,
or cause the UPS to draw too much current, which theoretically your breaker could blow depending on how loaded that circuit is.
Yeah, hopefully. If one of them broke and some of that gel came out, oh boy. So that was my experience with UPSs.
I hate them.
Well, you hate them, but you have to have them.
Got to have them. Kind of like wives, you got to have them.
Oh,
no,
she's listening, Mike. She's listening.
Yeah, well, I can tell her she misheard. Tell her maybe her computer's messed up.
What did she say?
It was. I think she had it on bamboozer.
Yeah, so
It's freezing.
Is she saying that it's okay now? Did
I don't
she
know.
say, or she did?
She went downstairs, and she's not up here complaining, so it must be
We
working.
want to hear whether it's okay or it's just better.
Well, we might hear by the end of the show. We might not. She's probably watching Barefoot Contessa by now.
I guess Gary left, huh?
No, I don't know. I posted a link in chat, a j.mp link. It is a beautiful picture of the Switchcraft 3502A RCA solder-on connector.
Very
Wow.
nice.
How much is this?
I was just messing around looking at things. I've found them like 10 plus for $1.89.
Oh,
On eBay, they've got them for $1.59. And in fact, Amnon, we could probably, you and I go in on an order and save some shipping, something like that. But
That's a
I
nice-
want to be able
nice
to get them for $1.50 each. And these are premium grade connectors. This is as good as it. I mean, RCA is not the best connector in the world, but these are as good as you get in RC for anything less than maybe a military grade connector. I have to be careful what I say because even though Gary gets off on a tangent from time to time, he knows his stuff. He is a very, very good, very competent broadcast engineer. And he has to deal with these connectors. He's dealt with military issues. He's dealt with consumer issues. I mean, he knows this stuff. So we sort through the stuff that Gary posts and get to the nuggets. And so I have to be careful because he'll accurately call me on statements I make because my statements are generally intended for the consumer, not for the military practitioners who are listening to Computers 2K now to be able to design military-grade electronic circuits. But that being said, that if you look at this picture, you will see the solder cup for the center pin. That's the beautiful part about this connector is that little solder cup there is that you put the wire in there, you pre-tin the wire before you put it in there, then you heat up. And by the way, these connections are pre-tinned anyway. But then you heat up that put solder inside that cup, heat it up. You don't have to completely fill it up, just enough to make sure the wire is perfectly bonded and securely bonded to the cup, to the bottom of the cup. The other side is that if you see that little tab on the right side as you look at it from the cable entry, as you see that tab, it looks like you would take the shield and bend it around that tab.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that, the wire on the other side, the outside of that tab, will actually interfere with this connector housing going back onto the connector. My guess is that a lot of people probably wrap the shield around that one, solder it, and then bend it over to get it out of the way. And I don't like doing that because then that moves it closer, depending on the cabling you're using, that can move it closer to the
center.
the dielectric on the center wire.
Yeah.
And can kind of pinch it if you're not careful. What I've taken to doing on most of these connectors, like if that tab were not there, which a lot of switchcraft connectors don't have that tab, but if that tab were not there, all you would do is float solder into the bottom connector where that tab is at about that point and just sweat the shield into that, making sure you get plenty of solder on there and get a good solder connection so that the shield is firmly attached to the negative part, the long piece there. But then once you're done, make sure when you solder these things, make sure that the jacket on the cable is inside this strain relief, these butterflies at the end, because when you're done, you're going to bend those over with a pair of pliers. You're going to bend those over onto the cable to hold the cable. Some people wonder whether the insulation should be stripped so that it's behind that part or ahead of it, but you want those to crimp over onto the insulation. 2 gotchas there. A, don't over crimp it. You can break the cable. Do not crimp it when it's hot. If you crimp it when it's hot, it'll actually burn into the cable because you have to heat that up to get the ground wire soldered to it. But this connector, if you can see it there, Bruce, it has room to work, which is what a lot of them don't have.
Right.
There is a really, really cheap version of this connector, and even Switchcraft makes it. I have never figured out how to install them correctly. It has a hole in the center. In fact, I wish Gary were here. It has a hole in the center pin. The way you stick the wire in there, I mean, I've just never figured out how you put it in there. I don't know whether you're supposed to flow solder down the center pin. I don't know whether you're supposed to stick the wire out of the hole in the center pin, solder it, and then trim it off. All I know is this one is the only one that I will use, and it works miraculously well.
And if you cut the cable, the insulation, a little too far up, and when you come to close the butterfly, what you call it, the end, and it's not going over that jacket, don't take the whole thing apart. You can actually go like 2, 3, 4 feet into the cable and start stroking it hard, the jacket, toward the connector, and it will extend. It will stretch. And
while that's true, Amnon, I would suggest that if you choose to do that, that you let it sit for about an hour before you solder it, because it wants to go back and find its way.
Well, the thing is, if you go 4 feet in, if you have that space and you pull it, it will go a little bit, but because it's so much, so long, and I mean, I'm not talking about if you cut it back 4 inches. I'm talking about if you cut it back a 1/4 inch. Then bring it as far as it'll go, and yeah, and you can let it sit and see if it works. From experience, for any kind of coax, if you do that, it goes back very little. So, but again, that's my experience with it. Steve, are you with us?
Yeah, still here.
So what happened again?
It was the modem. I had to go and reset the modem.
Not the computer. Okay.
No, I'm on a different computer now.
Okay. Here is something for you to think over. In an upcoming article in Business Communication Quarterly, researchers found that more than half of 20-somethings believe it's appropriate to read texts during formal business meeting, where only 16% of workers 40 plus believe the same thing. 34% of 20-somethings believe it's appropriate to answer the phone in the middle of a meeting. i.e., not excusing yourself to answer the phone, answering and talking in mid-meeting. It is unclear if this is happening because more younger workers grew up with mobile technology, or if it's because older workers have the experience to know that answering a call in the middle of a meeting is a terrible idea. So if you're a younger worker, young'uns, consider leaving your phone alone in meetings to avoid annoying your coworkers. And if you're an older worker annoyed at what you believe to be a rude behavior, just remember, it's not you, it's them.
It's always them.
Kathy was telling me about one of the teachers that when she's in a meeting with other teachers, she leaves her phone on and it's loud ringing, and she'll answer it and talk. But if she's in a meeting where the principal is there, then she doesn't do that. Which again is it's sort of like disrespectful, especially to answer. I mean, I don't know.
Here's what's complicated, because I'm in sort of that environment.
Were you hearing the whole thing?
I did.
Okay.
The problem, particularly with texting, is with qualifier that if all of those communications on that phone are personal, it is unequivocally absolutely accurate how rude and inconsiderate and inappropriate, and in fact, in violation probably a lot of companies' rules. But the problem is that now so many of these smart devices are being used for business issues. It's not unusual to get a text message regarding a rather important message related to your business where you actually have to get up and leave the meeting and go handle it. And in the old days, they just knock on the door and come in and say, Mr. Nissan, I need you to come out of the office, please. But now a lot of that stuff's been done by text messaging. So it sort of blurs the line a little bit, because I don't think it's ever appropriate to answer a cell phone during a meeting with other people. But it's not unusual, for example, to get a call where you have to go outside and answer it, or whether you get a text message that you may end up having to leave to go answer it. So it's not an absolute, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
I'm in the second set where people don't like it.
Yeah, you're the part of the 40 plus, not the 20 plus.
Right.
It's just kind of, I don't know. It's the word I use is disrespectful. And again, yeah, you're right. If it's got to do with business and you are expecting something that impacts what on the meeting that everybody needs to know and so forth, fine, you can listen to it. But again,
not in the meeting.
Put your ringer down. There's vibrate.
Vibrate.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways to make it more, so you don't bother everybody else.
Right.
And therefore, oh, excuse me, I have to take this. Yeah. What time are we getting to the bar tonight?
Speaking of disrespectful, I made a post. I called it Coffee House Etiquette. I was in our local coffee house, and it was a busy afternoon. He's got a DSL connection. I counted 14 laptops opened up in the establishment, and the ping time was like 400 milliseconds, and the download speed was like 0.16, and the upload was like 0.23 or something else like that. And I look over to my right, and there's a young lady at the table streaming Netflix movies. That is disrespectful.
Not good.
Why does the coffee house have DSL?
I'm not sure if that's all that they offer, but in that particular community, which is a planned community called Windhurst, most all of the connections in there are Verizon DSL. I don't know if they can get Comcast cable or how much it would cost, but having a free Wi-Fi spot in a coffee house is really good for business right now, and really it's hard to do quality of service on a DSL connection. And it's a mid-tier thing. It's kind of like, 3 down, 750K up at the most, But, what would it cost, to get a better connection, and would that be a good return on investment? But I know it's not bad during the summertime, but we have 5 colleges here, and when this place gets busy, and you've got a bunch of students, and some of them are doing online courses, and some of them are watching YouTube videos or listening to music and stuff like that, it can get pretty tough.
Yeah, and that's does the coffee house promote having free internet? Is this something that they promote?
Sure they do.
See, that on their part, I think that's bad on their part, because they don't have the bandwidth to offer that. So
even Starbucks bandwidth Wi-Fi can be horrible.
Oh, hotel bandwidth.
Yeah, hotels are bad too, for sure.
Actually, the best Wi-Fi hotspot in this town is at Bob Evans, and maybe that's because there's not many people. Connected to. It's hard to beat a sausage and cheese omelet with home fries and some warm banana bread. Opening up my Chromebook on the table and watching The Walking Dead, or joining a Tech and Coffee hangout.
For those of you who are into sharing files and so forth, the administrator of file sharing site Uploader Talk, which we found out was a forum, right, Nick?
Yeah, it's a news forum.
Yeah. Shocked and enraged his user base a few days ago when he revealed that the site was nothing more than a honeypot set up by a company called Nuke Piracy. The main purpose of the site had been to gather data on its users. The administrator said, I collected info on file hosts, web hosts, websites. I suckered the blank load of you. I built a history, got the trust of some very important people in the wares scene, collecting information and data all the time. Nobody knows what Nuke Piracy is going to do with the data, but it seems reasonable to expect lawsuits, and the further investigation of any services the users discussed. His very public betrayal is likely meant to sow discord and distrust among the groups responsible for distributing pirated files. So it's interesting that a company will set up a site where people can come, not share, but talk about it. And then let them know that this is what we are. I always, and this is something of mine from the past, I always wondered why we don't, we never put out the information that, okay, yeah, we are going after such and such. We need to capture Osama. And a few weeks later, he said, yes, we're getting closer because we have one of his very close circle is letting us know what's going on. And keep kind of every now and then leak a little bit about stuff like this. And what that does is it makes the person worry. They don't know who it is. They think that everybody and their mother is after him among his close friends, and they start moving, and at that point you can go get them because they expose themselves. There are so many cases that you can do it, and I don't know why it's not being. Maybe it is being used in some instances, but it's such. This is what they did here. They build a site where people, go there. Yeah, man, we have a place. You know, a lot of people use. What is that pirate?
Pirate Bay.
Pirate Bay. And you know, and they know that they can go there and download stuff. Imagine that. Sometime soon, you hear that Pirate Bay was actually a industry site where they could go, where they have information about everybody that downloaded something from there.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but imagine what it does to you as a user when you go to another site such as that later on. Now you're beginning to think, oh, shoot, they're going to get me here. That's probably not real. And that works. It works.
What also works is a lot of false information and supposed facts that they dish out that are a load of bull.
That's what I'm talking about. Give out bull.
It's the unfortunate thing is the general public. If there isn't other news coming out that defutes it or corroborates it, then that's the only story that's out there. So, you know, that's the one that people are gonna believe because it's the only one that's available.
So, Bruce left. I missed that on
later,
the
Bruce.
chat. I missed it on the chat. Yeah, but they can do it, you know.
The UK's been IP blocking and banning a lot of sites again in the UK and in Europe. The British phonographic industry and International Federation of the Phonographic Industry have been going to court and getting censorship orders to censor several sites in the UK and Europe. And considering they don't actually have the copyrighted stuff itself, and maybe possibly either a link to it or a link to a link to a link, it's, where is it going to end?
If you knew, you would be...
You wouldn't get out of bed.
You wouldn't get out of bed.
There's no point getting up, is there? Well, what's the point getting up? Because, you'd need to apply in triplicate to open your front door to leave the house.
Yeah. And the only thing that's left here, well, there's a couple of them. Oh, listen to this. HP has filed a lawsuit against 7 makers of optical disk drive technology, claiming the companies engage in widespread price fixing in order to drive up the cost of Blu-ray, DVD, and CD drives for PC and peripheral equipment makers. The suit was filed Thursday at the District Court of Houston against Toshiba, Samsung, Sony, Panasonic, NEC, TIAC, and Quanta Storage. The lawsuit claims the conspiracy to drive up prices took place from at least January 1st, 2004 through January 1st, 2010, when almost all forms of home entertainment and data storage were on optical discs, and the companies control 90% of the optical disc market. HP alleges the companies used industry events such as CES as cover to communicate competitive information and hammer out anti-competitive agreements. Why they talk about it now? That's what I want to know.
I mean, it's a smokescreen to cover up something else that they don't want you to know about.
And I don't know how many of you remember when we were talking some months ago about the company that was bringing Indian people to work in the workplace, and some of the Americans were suing or complaining. And I remember, Mike, we discussed it between us, and you had ideas about it.
I'm trying to remember the conversation.
This one is, the U.S. government fined Infosys $35 million after an investigation by the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department found that the Indian company used inexpensive, easy-to-obtain B1 visas meant to cover short business visits instead of harder-to-get H-1B work visas to bring an unknown number of employees for long-term stays. The alleged practice enabled Infosys to undercut competitors in bids for programming, accounting, and other work performed for clients, according to people close to the investigation. Infosys clients have included Goldman Sachs Group, Walmart stores, and Cisco Systems. Infosys says in an email that it is talking with the U.S. Attorney's Office regarding a civil resolution of the government's investigation into the company's compliance with employment records I-9 form requirements and past use of the B-1 visa. A company spokesman who confirmed a resolution will be announced Wednesday said Infosys had set aside $35 million to settle the case and cover legal costs. He said the sum was a good indication of the amount involved. I mean, bring the people here, take jobs away from Americans that were working there, which at the time turned out now they were right. Why can't you just have the people in India do the work? In India.
Sometimes it has to do with export controls. It depends a lot on the technology.
I know. All I know is that I use Infosys for processing credit cards. The bank uses them. It's not, you don't use them, but I found out who the company that has that program and stuff, because I needed, their reverse DNS didn't work, and I had to find out who they are, and they didn't even know what I'm talking about. And the program that we're using is so slow, it is not even funny. And when I read this, I said, okay, well, that's what the Ferners do. You know the Ferners?
I know them.
Them burners.
Yeah, them.
It's always them.
I have a computer question.
You need to take that to a computer show.
All right. See you guys later. Have a good weekend.
What's the question?
Okay, so I'm looking for a program on Windows that will back up a folder and send it to an FTP server automatically.
So you want to
just upload a folder? I mean, when you say back it up, do you just want to upload a folder to an FTP site?
Yeah, it most likely just zip it and upload it.
I don't know about zipping it.
If it can't zip it, not an issue. But
will FileZilla not do it?
No, FileZilla. Well, you have to be logged into FileZilla to do it. That won't be automatic. I'm looking for something that will back up a folder every day.
The only way that I don't know if anything that would do that. The only one.
Oh, no. There are tons of programs that do that. One that I use as a paid program is called
Carbonite.
Huh?
Is it called SyncBack?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
I think they have a free version of it.
I thought they did too. I can't find it though, which is weird.
A batch file.
Yeah, I could do a batch file. That's another option.
A batch file that will take the folder, zip it, and I don't know. You need to find an FTP program that has a command line.
I think Mozilla does. I'm gonna try installing SyncBack and seeing if there's a free version of it. I know there's a 30-day trial of it.
What was the one I used to use? I'm trying to think of what it was now. WSFTP. I think they had a light version too. That supported scripting.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me look and see. I don't even know if it's still available.
WSFTP is available.
Yeah.
That's one of the more popular one.
That's the one I used for years. What a great! The LE version was just really good. Ipswich.
Yep, Ipswich.
That's the company. Yeah. WSFTP Professional.
Steve just posted one. AceBack.
So are we about to lose our video?
We're about to lose me.
No, it's 1 o'clock.
Oh,
but we're not going to stay till then.
It's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours, not 3.
3 hours. Oh, well.
And that all depends on whether the clock were adjusted right.
It's already 1 o'clock. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, that's why you asked.
Yeah.
Adjust that clock there.
I found that one through Google, Nick. It looks like it's got some fairly good reviews and write-ups. Give it a try. It's free.
I appreciate it.
I can't recommend it because I don't know it, but it looks like it's okay. Stick it in a sandbox and give it a go.
Yeah. See what happens.
And to those of you, and I mean, we talk about it now, those of you that don't know, Nick is the owner of CraigDigitalDesigns.com, and Nick creates Roku applets. Nick builds websites, maintains WordPress, does the SEO for them, updates. Just go visit CraigDigitalDesigns.com, and if there's anything that Nick can help you support, he does good work, if I may say so myself. Stop laughing.
Who's laughing?
I don't know. Somebody's laughing. It's Nick. But anyway, For local people who are still listening, and I forgot to mention that next Saturday is the North Carolina Veterans Day Parade in Raleigh, downtown Raleigh. It's at 9:30 on Fayetteville. How do you go? Fayetteville. How do you say it? Fayetteville?
Fayetteville.
No, that's how you say it correctly.
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam.
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 I hate you.
Hey.
But, yeah, so there's a parade, and then there's going to be a ceremony, too, at the Capitol, on the Capitol grounds. Spence, you going to drive?
I don't think I can.
Oh.
With my new work schedule, I really can't take much time off.
Okay. That's all right.
If I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's all the announcements that... I don't have anything else. Mike? Steve? Spence?
Nope.
Nick?
Nope.
Anybody has
Nope.
anything else to say?
No, time to
Nothing
rock
from
and
me.
roll.
The what?
Nothing from me.
Okay. All right, so it's time. It's time. Again, thanks everybody. I want to say good morning to Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you everybody for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Just go to the website, and while you're at it, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. The icons are there. Tonight at 8 o'clock, it's Carrie's Cafe. Tomorrow morning at 11, it's Health In. We'll see you all next week right here on Computers 2K Now.
You're tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In with Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.